Good news, everybody.
What's
You like
what's
that
up?
instead of hey now?
Good news, everybody. What are you doing? Your Biden impersonation? Is that what it is? Good news.
You know what? I bet if Biden came out at the next
Oh my
press conference
god.
and he said good news, everybody, right in the beginning, you would be like, all right, I'm back. I'm voting for Biden like immediately.
Well, I am a pretty big Futurama
Right.
fan, so I mean, it would
Yeah.
be good. I don't know that he's got the brain to actually put that together.
You'd be so on board so quickly.
Look, he's been hiding and taking bribes all through the Futurama. Like, how many seasons do they have? Like 20? He doesn't
Yes.
know anything about Futurama.
He doesn't need
He's
to. He just has some staffer. All right.
oh yeah.
Anyways, hello,
Anyways,
everybody.
hello,
Hello.
everybody.
It's been a
Hello.
while. Sorry, I'm still sick, but not so sick that I can't talk to you beautiful folks out there today.
Of course. Of
Yes.
course. Yes. So I
So,
don't, yeah, what are we talking about today?
I mean, there's all sorts of Biden drama going on. I don't know if you saw
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Joe Biden lost a very important supporter today.
Did he really? Was
Yes,
it, who was it? Tell us.
it was the very famous political philosopher and analyst, George Clooney.
George. Oh my God. I saw the other day he lost Rob Reiner. I was like, oh man. Oh man. The ship is going down. Rob Reiner has like enough TDS to be its own to have its own gravitational force. Like TDS is just emanating from that
Well, I
dude.
mean, yeah, and Rob Reiner's been such a massive political force on the left for like 20 years, 30 years. So
Oh yeah.
I still remember the South Park episode where he's trying to like ban smoking. Well, he's like he's trying to ban smoking, and in every scene he's like shoving burgers down his throat.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, just
That
getting
really.
fatter and fatter.
Oh yeah, that's healthy.
Uh-huh.
So he lost Batman. Well, the worst Batman ever. So look,
That's
as long
true.
as he doesn't, as long as he has Christian Bale, he's still good.
Christian Bale, Michael Keaton on his side. Well, not only did he lose George Clooney literally wrote an op-ed in the New York Times.
No way. Bring
Yes,
up the op-ed.
I sent it to you.
Okay, what did you read it? Tell me.
Yeah, I read it. I read
Give
it.
me the goods.
Oh, I did not send it to you. Hold on.
I've actually been reading a lot of the New York Times lately. I can't believe it. Like the New York Times has been writing some great stuff about how
You
Biden
know,
has to go.
we got to do that. I'm so mad we didn't do that thing from like months ago. The why the New York Times actually doesn't like Joe Biden, like before all this, because it would have been so like explanatory why the New York Times was so quick to dump Biden.
This
The
is
New York
actually the
Times has
time
had
to do
like
it though,
no,
because
no, but
nobody
like
knows that. Nobody
what?
knows that information.
I know, but
Yeah.
that's why it's interesting. Like, because the New York Times has been feuding with Joe Biden for a long time now, which people don't realize, and I didn't realize either until I looked into this. And so that's why, like, literally, the day I don't know if it was like that night or it was like the next day, the New York Times was like, Biden's got to go."
Yeah, they're gunning for him hardcore.
Hmm.
They are making the argument that the situation is very dire, very dangerous. So, yeah.
And it's funny because it's all just personality conflicts. That's what's like whenever you see these like behind the scenes squabbles, it's never ideology or some conspiracy. No, it's like I just don't like this guy because he's like a jerk to me. Like one time.
Yeah, but those personality conflicts, they allow people to see the situation unbiasedly. They're like, I'm not going to give you any charity because I hate your fucking guts. Well, I guess
But
the bias could go in the other direction, though.
right.
So,
But it's funny because, whenever I hear people talking about like these deep grand conspiracies, and then whenever you look behind the scenes or something, get an insider look, it's always everyone just yelling at each other, all these personalities.
Sitch, you did not plug your fucking thing in. How dare you?
I did plug it in.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why you're cutting out. That
I don't,
sucks.
it's
What
cutting
were you
out right
saying?
now.
Go ahead. No, you're back.
Oh,
But we
no, I
didn't
was
hear the
say,
first thing that you said.
I said, it's funny because when people talk about
Oh,
like the grand conspiracies where everyone's like kind of acting behind the scenes to do something, and then whenever you look behind the scenes, it's like everyone yelling at each other. There's all this like backstabbing and like competition. There's always personality conflicts. Everyone hates each other. Everything's like barely being held together with string.
yeah. It's all Game of Thrones
It's all Game of
going
Thrones
on
stuff
behind the
going on.
scenes.
Right.
So look, if I see this, I brought the New York Times article up. If I see this one more time, I'm gonna puke. I am literally gonna puke.
What?
This whole I love Joe Biden. God, I love everyone is like wants to get down on their knees and just suck Joe Biden off so bad.
Well,
They,
it's a tactic. It's a persuasion
oh yeah, no,
tactic.
I know the tactic. You know, you're
Right.
going in, you're gonna dump this girl like she's not cutting it. You're like, babe, it's not you, it's me. I'm not
Hmm.
good for you. I'm doing this
Exactly.
to save you from
Yeah.
me, the horrible person.
Well, it's like it's a way of signaling like, listen, I'm not because there's like two groups of or there's like three groups of people. There's the people that did like Joe Biden, but they just want to win, so they think he should get out. There's the
Right.
people who never liked Joe Biden on the left, and so they're totally fine telling him to get the hell out. And then there's the obviously people that are like, on the right. And
Yeah.
so the reason that they all do this, they say, I love Joe Biden. You just imagine Palpatine saying, I love democracy.
Oh, I know.
I love Joe Biden. They're saying that to just signal that, like, listen, I'm on like the camp that actually liked Joe Biden. That's how you know that you should take what I'm saying like extra super serious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have to say it. They have to say it because they're like, "Look, I'm on your team, but we got Houston, we got a problem here." I brought up the moral foundations chart from The Righteous Mind,
Hmm.
uh, just so I could bring up the progressives here. Here we go. Progressives, the most sacred value, care for for victims of the oppressed. Right. Let's look at the loyalty foundation here.
Just
Let's see how these progressives score on
underwater.
loyalty. Yeah. Oh, not good.
Not good.
Not good. That's
No.
exactly what's going on here. It's funny that they're having this conversation openly. You hear so many progressives talking about how social conservatives will never abandon their guy. You know, the ones that are saying we should stick by Biden, they're like, they would never abandon their guy. Well, let's see
Hmm.
how social conservatives score on loyalty. Oh, look at this.
Right.
They do score higher on loyalty.
Of course.
So it's funny that Jonathan Haidt knows what's up, man. It's just prescient watching this go on.
So let me
Yeah,
read part of this article
yeah, do it up.
from the second paragraph. I love Joe Biden.
Oh my
As a
God.
senator, as a
Make it
vice
stop.
president, as a president, I consider him a friend and I believe in him. Believe in his character, believe in his morals. In the last 4 years, he's won many of the battles he's faced. But the one battle he cannot win is the fight against time.
My God.
None of us can. You think he wrote this or did he have some like Hollywood friend, like screenwriter write this? Because I mean, it's very oh,
Yeah.
none of
Could
us
be.
can.
I'm sure he had someone
I'm
look it
sure.
over. He's a big Hollywood celebrity. He's not gonna he knows better.
He's got ghostwriters. It's devastating to say, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe Big Effing Deal Biden of 2010.
Oh
He
my
wasn't even the
God.
Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. Wow.
Wow.
Terrible.
He's covering his ass. He's like, I never saw him like this ahead of that debate. That's the first time I saw
No,
this
no, no.
ever.
But he's saying whenever this thing was, I think it was a few weeks ago, he was saying it was like the debate,
Right.
which
Well,
people are rightfully saying, shouldn't you have said something before the debate?
okay, maybe he did see him in this state and didn't say anything. I thought
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
bringing this up so he could say, "Look, I saw Joe Biden plenty of times and he was fine. I never saw him that way." He
No,
says
he
2010, 2020. What
no,
was
he's
this
saying
thing?
that
Oh,
a month ago when
okay.
he did his fundraiser, Biden was the same level he was at the debate.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
Bad
true.
news.
Why didn't he say something a month ago? Kept his
Yeah.
mouth shut. Was he tired? Yes. A cold? Maybe. But our party leaders need to stop telling us that the 51 million people didn't see what we just saw.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
also, look, that's good. They're like the gaslighting only goes so far, right?
Don't look. I'm convinced that progressives think gaslighting is the ultimate weapon. That they can basically hypnotize the population into doing anything. That's
Hmm.
what they believe the power of gaslighting is.
Right. But it's only so much give on the gaslighting.
Yeah, no, they don't. It's what they believe is completely incorrect, factually incorrect.
Right.
Yes, gaslighting will work to a certain extent with a certain number of people. It's not. You can't gaslight the whole fucking electorate. Look, and
Right.
you can make the argument that the reason why there are bases is because there are people in ideological tribes that are susceptible to gaslighting from their own tribe. Right. This is why the independents are the fucking kingmakers,
Right.
because they're the ones that are not susceptible to the gaslighting, and whichever way they tip decides the election.
True.
Yeah.
True. Or they don't care enough to be gaslit.
Yeah, exactly. This gaslighting is not going to work on those independents. So, you guys on you progressives, the David Packmans of the world, you go out there and gaslight away, okay?
Well,
That base is not going to save you.
it's interesting because like the people that are still on the team Biden should remain in the race camp, they're basically like they're all yelling at the people on the left who are calling for Biden to leave because they're like, "Oh my God, you're just making it worse. No one would have cared about this debate, but you're so fixated on it." And it's like, no, no, no. You don't. The cat is out of the bag, and it's never going back in. Like this is just,
Yeah.
like you guys ridiculous.
Those people are gaslighting themselves. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think 99% of them are not even Biden fans. They're like very, very, it is interesting. They're very, um, you know, strong to see Trump not win, like most people on the left. And for some reason, they've kind of hooked into their brain that the only way that that will manifest is if Biden stays in, that if Biden leaves, the chaos will just make it too difficult for the Democrat candidate to win. And I don't know. I cannot see it that way. It seems delusional. It was so funny. I don't know if you saw Jank had a debate with uh Destiny and
Yes,
some
I
I
did
forget
see
there's it
it.
was some other people. And it was actually hilarious to see like Jank be this sort of, very loud, insulting kind of person that he is. Like Destiny also being very insulting. That debate is actually really interesting. Right off the bat, Destiny accuses Jank, and I forget who else is in the debate, of essentially just like they just want Biden to leave for their own nefarious purposes, not because they want Trump to lose. Like right off the bat, he just like
Wow.
accuses them of that.
Wow. That's a big accusation there.
Yeah, and then Jake just like starts like accusing him of all sorts of shit. It's hilarious. It's really maybe we'll watch part of it at some point. It's a very funny debate. They just get very angry at each other.
In that David Packman debate with the progressive strategist, Cenk debates a progressive strategist on David Packman's channel, and she calls the people who are against Biden, she compares them to birther. She's like, this is a birtherism of the left.
What does that even
And
mean?
Cenk is super chapped about it. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because she's basically saying, like, and you've seen this. I'm sure you've seen this. This whole Biden is just old. Like, why are we
Well,
giving him
yeah.
a hard time? He's old, okay? Like, this is what happens with old people. Like,
Yeah, that's why they shouldn't
don't
be
be
president.
ageist.
How is that like a defense?
It's not. It's totally not. But they're like selling this. They're selling this to people. They're like, just
Hmm.
get over it. He's just old. Big deal. Who cares? I'm like, I don't know. I saw Mitch McConnell freeze up for like 40 minutes. It could be bad in a meeting with Putin, don't you think? It's just old age.
Well, and
Anyway,
also, I mean, now like if he ever had to have a meeting with Putin or someone who's not friendly to the U.S., they're going to intentionally try to make the meeting like at night, just to like fuck with America.
of
So,
course, I saw a thing too. It might have been on Fox News. They were talking about how Biden has skipped out on a lot of these meetings with various foreign dignitaries because it was too late. Like they tried to schedule the meeting early,
mhm.
but some other person came on and said, "Oh, Biden can't make it. I'm here in his stead." So
Right.
the person is there and is going to like
Yeah, because they
fill
knew.
in.
Of course they knew. Right.
But look, this is the thing. The presidency is as much a sales job as it is a decision-making job, right?
Hmm.
We're trying to sell America to our allies around the world. So I just
Yeah.
like, if he can't do a fucking sales job, you're in the wrong business, buddy. Move along.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
look, I actually I agree with Jank on this, that a contested Democratic convention would really bring massive attention to whoever the candidate is. And if it's executed well, I mean, that person could look like a fighter in a way that puts him on the same plane as Trump, because a lot of people like Trump because he's perceived of as a fighter, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, look, it doesn't seem like a bad side.
No, well, mhm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the biggest problem is just there's going to be very little time for them to get their name out there for people to know who they are.
This is what viral is. Look, nobody knew about the Huck 2 girl. Now everybody fucking knows about her.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I don't think the Democratic candidate for president is going to go give a video about giving
Be the Huck
blowjobs and
2
go
girl?
viral. Okay,
No, obviously not. That's not what I meant. I meant
I know what you
we
meant.
live in a situation where people become celebrities overnight, and that can actually work to the person's advantage because
Right.
people don't have time to go digging through. They have some viral moment at the Democratic convention that everyone's like, "Oh my God, this guy's my fighter," right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, it's
nobody
probably
digs up
unlikely
that they
though.
fuck their secretary and have like 6 illegitimate kids, right?
Exactly.
And then they're
It,
president.
there you
All
go.
that
It's
comes out
probably
later.
yeah. Well, that's why I was saying. I made that's why people were like pointing at Michelle Obama because of the name recognition. But you know, it's possible. It's unlikely. I still think obviously that both the Democrats would have a much better chance at replacing Biden, number one, and then number two, obviously, it's the more moral choice because you don't really want to have an enfeebled old man be the president of the United States.
I'm so
So,
glad you brought that up because a lot of people are saying that you're immoral if you're voting for Trump because obviously Trump did January 6th and stuff like that. But I mean, it's
hmm
equally immoral to vote for Biden. Biden can't do the job.
hmm Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say because obviously we'd have to know the future, right? Because this is kind of the problem that I see with it's like that people have this like, okay, should I vote for the like say Biden doesn't leave, right?
Right.
So you have the Democrats are riding with Biden. It's like okay, people who don't like Trump and they kind of get very mad. They still want to vote for Biden. And they say, well, it'd be like the lesser is evil to vote for Biden because you're voting for his team, right? You're not voting for
His
necessarily like just Biden
You're
himself.
voting for President Hunter Biden.
Well, so the problem there's an issue with that, or at least an issue I see with that, which is that yeah, obviously we talked about this before. It's sort of you're voting for like the black box, right? You don't know
Yep.
exactly what the black box is, and then their response is to say, well, you do, you've had Biden for 4 years, and he's done policies that didn't blow up the country, according to who you ask, blah 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 blah. And so that you can, use his record to have it. It's like, well, there's an issue with that. Number one, we don't know exactly where Biden's decline was at what point in the last 4 years.
Exactly.
But, before, like right after the debate, now, by the way, I'll never vote for Trump for any reason ever. But
Hmm.
I'm also not voting, so it doesn't really matter. But so after
I can't do that. I just can't do
that's
it.
fine. I'm not suggesting anyone do anything. But after the debate, I could very well easily see the argument, and it makes sense to me to say, well, okay, Biden is enfeebled, but he's been enfeebled for a while. He has a team behind him. You're voting for his administration. You know, I would prefer, quote, the person, hypothetical. I would prefer to vote for Biden over Trump in this scenario just because I hate Trump and his policies and January 6th and, all those reasons. Like, I'm like, okay, that makes total sense to me, right? He's like, well, obviously Biden's staff is doing most of the heavy lifting, blah, 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 blah. But as the calls for Biden to drop out have amplified and amplified and amplified, we've now learned, at least from all the reporting, what does everyone say? They always say it's Biden's decision. It's Biden's decision. It's Biden's decision. It's his family's decision, right? He's talking to his family. It's Jill and Hunter and his family's
Just like
decision.
all the decisions.
Right. So exactly. And it's so weird because like as that conversation progresses, it makes me think the exact opposite of what everyone's trying to say to sell Biden, where they're saying, oh, well, he has a team and of all of his administration and his cabinet and blah, they make decisions. This is like, well, wait a minute. They're not making the decision when it comes to the most important decision of all, at least not according to, unless it's all lies, not according to the reporting. Where the reporting, it's still firmly in Joe Biden and his fucking family's hands about him running for president. And that actually makes me lose like way more confidence in voting for the black box because it's like, well, then wait, who the fuck is in charge? Maybe that's even scarier. If Joe Biden still is in charge and not his team, that seems like a worse scenario to me, not a better one.
Yeah, I think obviously he's in a position to be manipulated. You don't know how many factions beneath him are vying to control him. That's I mean, the black box could be extremely dangerous or it could be benign. You don't know. That's the
Right.
problem.
No,
So look,
but
I want to make an
mhm.
argument why you should vote.
Well,
Can I?
before you do that, let me just say this.
Okay.
Okay. Um, to me, having factions of people under Joe Biden, you're right, we wouldn't know who they were, vying for power. That, in my mind, would be more preferable than Joe Biden having power. Because I'd be like, well, those people they're all vying for power as all political people do, but they're like people that have functioning brains. You don't want the scenario where like Joe Biden like
God.
wakes up in the middle of the night and orders a military strike because he's out of his fucking mind. And then people kind of stand around like, well, should we do this? Should we not do this? Like, and the problem was like if Joe Biden was like the shadow person who wasn't in power, then you'd be like, oh, they're just gonna ignore him. But if he's not, and he still is in power, which is what it seems like it is right now, then that does cause a problem because you're like, well, like what the fuck happens when the old man like says some crazy shit?
They have functioning brains, but they have zero accountability, which is the problem. So
I'm not saying
if
it's
they
good. I'm saying it'd be better than Joe Biden being in a position of power that he is right now.
I don't know how you come to good decision making there.
Hmm.
Look, I'm super the whole idea just I mean, I don't want to say it terrifies me because look, I'm gonna if Biden wins the election is our brain dead president, I
Hmm.
think we're gonna get by. I don't know how bad things are gonna get. We're obviously gonna be tested by foreign adversaries. Like
Right.
I would not be surprised if we're being tested by foreign adversaries now already because
I'm
all our
sure.
cards are on the
I'm
table.
sure.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I just look. I got into a dust up on Twitter because I was saying Trump is the lesser of the two evils, and obviously people got super pissed about that
Hmm.
because I've been vocally against Trump. But the whole look, it'd be easy for me to say, look, I'm not voting, right? I got what do I stand to gain for voting? Voting is it's dumb for me to vote, right?
Yeah. Also, you're in California, so it doesn't even matter. But
Right, yeah. Well, I mean that's part of the equation as well, but I mean I think and it has to do with the way that I look at elections. I do think obviously you're a very smart person, Sitch. Hope you
thank
don't
you.
mind me saying so, but I think this is a very, very taxing problem to decide who is the lesser of two evils, right? So, but in voting, I mean, your vote is insignificant in the amount of people that are voting, but it really is
Hmm.
like a collective action problem. And if all the smart people abdicate and say, "Look, I'm just not going to vote," right? Then you're not really polling the widest sample of people. Like we could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Like the lesser evil could be Biden, right?
Hmm.
I believe it's Trump, but I like the aggregate of all the smart people who are the independents that could switch sides and vote for either one of these that are going to look at the problem objectively. You want as large a sample of that population as possible. So that's why I just feel obligated to vote. I
Well,
feel
that's
like
good.
I need to put my say in
Right.
with the other kingmakers. And maybe I'm wrong, but if I'm wrong, the process will weed that out because I will be in the minority who think Trump is a lesser evil.
Right.
Yeah, you might be in the minority that thinks Biden is the lesser evil. So,
Well, I mean, this what me not voting is as I said this a few streams ago. It's independent from this election. It started off because I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. But then once I declared that I wasn't voting, I did, as I said, I felt freer to be able to analyze things a little bit more objectively. And
yeah,
so that's
I
why I
get
said
that.
that as long as I'm covering politics, I'm not going to vote for president just because it makes it easier for me to not get sucked into like a team. Now, that doesn't mean I won't. If you say like, well, who would you vote for? I can still have an opinion on that, but I'm personally just not going to vote. And I'd recommend everyone else should probably vote. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think you should vote, but
Well, I'm not going to. So,
no, and look, and that's old school. Like a lot of journalists said, I'm not going to vote because I'm interviewing these people. I mean, we're not really interviewing people. We're just like
no.
giving our feedback on it. Look, and I'm in California. There's really, I mean, I will be interested in seeing what the actual breakdown is in California.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll be looking at the aftermath. I expect to be if I do end up voting for Trump. And right, look, I'm an undecided voter right now. And that's another thing that was completely out of line for all these people on Twitter because I was just saying, look, if it's between Trump and Biden, I'm probably going to vote Trump,
Right.
right? Cuz I see the black box is the greater evil to me. And I mean, I laid it out. Some guy was coming at me, and I was like, okay, your position is perfectly logical because you do not believe that the black box is a threat. So if that's not a threat, and you're literally voting for a potted plant, if that potted plant has 10% chance to get the policies that you want, and you get 0% chance with Trump to get the policies you want, it's perfectly rational for you to vote for Biden and to make
Hmm.
an argument to vote for Biden. But I think the greater threat to the stability of the United States is Biden.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
hard to
Trump could
tell.
be a threat as well because Trump
Right.
could tear things up going after his political adversaries. Like he could weaponize the Department of Justice. It could be a big fucking mess. Like
Right.
there are dangers on that end too.
Of course.
I am well aware of. Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because, if Biden stays in and then wins, I mean, we will be in completely uncharted territory.
Yes.
Because on one hand, people will say, well, no, we've had this situation before where the president's been basically enfeebled and, their staff or their wife has run things. And that is true. That has happened.
Reagan. Yes.
Right. Yeah, and FDR and some other people.
Well, I don't
But
think FDR because FDR had like physical. His mind was there, but I think he had
I thought
physical
towards the
ailments.
end he was gone. Maybe I'm mistaken, but
Reagan was commonly believed to be mentally declined, but it was in his towards the end of his second term.
right, right.
So,
Um,
yes.
right. But the thing is with that is that that's true. We've had these situations before, but we've never had it where everyone in the entire world knew that was true.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
very, very different situation. And you're right, because then I don't know what that's going to look like. And so that is a weird unknown. And so yes, that could cause, maybe nothing will happen whatsoever. Or maybe you'll think, we'll just keep being going on like it is now, or maybe it could lead to massive problems or instabilities. It's who the fuck knows, you know? And then with Trump, it's like, okay, well, it depends, if Trump, weaponizes the Justice Department, starts going after people. I don't think it's going to be successful, but, that causes instability. If he starts, just gutting, massive swaths of, the
Of the
energy
federal government.
departments,
Yeah, totally.
the State Department, like all these jobs that basically keep the lights on and keep the water clean and doing all this like normal, boring shit that no one cares about. Like, yeah, obviously that would have massive, detrimental impact in the country too. And it's just to me, it's hard for me to recommend because I don't really know. It's very unclear to me one way or the other.
But look, that's why this is the wisdom of crowds. It's the elections are the wisdom of crowds. That's why I think it's like people need to examine this problem and the kingmakers need to step up and
Hmm.
decide. So, but look,
Sure.
this could be all moot. I actually look, I bet $100 Biden's gone. Like who comes in? I think uh, a contested nomination process could actually help the Democrats. And I think the Democrats could still easily win this. So
Hmm.
look, and Trump is proving masterful at just stepping back. Notice how Trump is not in the news cycle here. How Trump is just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, he definitely I hate to bring up Scott Adams again, but he had mentioned like a month or two ago that Trump had some new advisor who was really good, or seemed to be. He didn't know who it was, but seemed to be really good at his job. And I have to agree. It seems like Trump does have some new advisor that he's listening to on like doing, how to handle himself. That is working because you're right. He to just kind of step back and let, the Biden controversy consume itself.
Yeah. Let's not be children here. He's like, why am I going to waste my powder on this Biden guy? I want him in the race.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's part of the thing too. Yeah. It's kind of like I mean, it's kind of funny too for all the people that are saying that keep Biden in. I mean, even Trump appears to believe that he'd have his best shot against Biden too. So I
Of
don't,
course, he
you
sees
know.
those polls. Look, I saw a poll where he was down Trump versus Michelle Obama. Trump loses by 12 points. Oof.
Yes. Yeah.
You think Trump wants to work on that 12-point deficit?
Hmm. No,
No.
of course not.
He's terrified. If I was Michelle Obama, I would start doing speeches just to troll the shit out of Trump.
That would that would be that would be funny, but she would be worried because if she doesn't, I mean, it seems like she doesn't really want to do it. Like if she did that, like oh my God, the so many people would be calling her, like trying to give her money, like the pressure would just be
They're doing
astronomical.
that now. Do you know what the
I
the
know it'd be like three
donations to the
times as much. Yeah.
whatever Obama Foundation right now, they're like money is just pouring in,
They're
like
like, please, Michelle, save us,
overflowing.
save us. We have to save us, Michelle.
Piles and piles of money.
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
We'll see what
So
happens. This is getting good.
what if Biden drops out? Is there anyone that you, if it was just anyone, it could be Kamala, could be, Whitmer, Westmore, any of these people that get or Gavin Newsom, any of these people that get like named as potentials, would you vote for any of them, all of them instead of Trump?
I'm an undecided voter. Like I
Hmm.
would contemplate voting for Kamala over Trump. I would
Right.
have to see her perform. God, that's so painful because now it's completely like a different lesser of two evils scenario because I feel physical revulsion at look and Trump at least I think Trump is funny. I think Trump is potential Trump is Trump is dangerous in that he wants it so bad he's willing to do anything. Like obviously
Right.
January 6th is the avatar of that.
He's Stannis. So
So,
he wants it so bad well, he never had principles, so I guess he's not Stannis. Never mind.
well this
Bad
is
comparison.
I mean this is helpful if he's advocating for something I want, right? Universal health care. God, what I would love for Trump to
Sure,
be
but he's
arguing for
not going to
universal.
advocate for that. So
Yeah, well, anyway, like if Trump is advocate, look, if Trump was for UBI, I'd be like, Trump, fuck
yeah, but he's not going to
January
be. I mean,
6th.
he's gonna. I mean, he's the voice of the MAGA mob, right? He's going to basically just try to echo any of those policies, and none of the policies are going to be public option, UBI, any of these quote
Sure,
left wing
sure.
policies, socialist policies
He
you
is going to
want.
do something about immigration though, which is
That is true.
terrible for the middle class, which the immigration situation with all the illegal immigration is terrible for the middle class. So,
This, I think the thing is for, the people on Twitter who are having a shit fit meltdown. When you said that you would vote for Trump over Biden, um, they don't, you've articulated this position on this stream a lot, but most people don't realize it because those people are kind of operating under the idea that Trump is going to bring fascism to America, which you don't believe. That's not your worldview. Your
yeah,
worldview
look,
has been sort of this that Trump's primary goal has been to have the status of a two-term president. And that was sort of the number one thing guiding his behavior.
and guiding Biden's behavior, obviously. Yeah.
Right.
So look, it's kind of ironic that they're both seeking the same status.
Hmm.
Yeah. The and look, the Democratic Party does not believe this either because most of these mofos, they're like, I don't want to ruin my chance at 2028. Why do I want to get into the race now? Now, if Trump is not going to leave office and it literally is going to end democracy and it's going to be fascism, how the fuck are you going to have an election in 2028?
Right. Right.
It's ridiculous. Nobody
Yeah.
believes that shit. It's it's this fear, and it's so funny because I can't. The Democrats are always like, "Oh my God, all the Republicans do is fear monger. It's all fear monger, fear, 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 fear." Look at you guys, fascism, climate change, everything. Everything is fear mongering for the Democrats. How can they do that? The
Well,
hypocrisy, Sitch.
I mean, if Trump was like a younger man, I could be like, okay, I could see why people might think that, he would try to be president forever or something. But he's so old. He's going to be older than, if he wins, he's going to be older than Biden by the time the term's up. I mean, and he's already slowed down dramatically. Like,
He could deteriorate
there's
just
no
as
way.
fast.
Yeah,
We could be
exactly. It's
looking
like,
at a
no
Biden
way.
situation halfway through Trump's term.
So I don't see it either, that he would be president, indefinitely or bring fascism to America. And actually, it's very interesting talking about Trump having a new advisor who's very smart. I mean that Trump's what is it? What's the word I'm looking? His denouncement of Project 2025,
Oh yeah.
whether it's true or not, or sincere, I should say. I mean, that's a very smart political maneuver because it's like you have the Heritage Foundation comes out with Project 2025, and it's funny because like Scott Adams said this, and he was completely correct. Like they're fucking retarded.
Yeah,
They're
why
so
would they do
retarded.
that in the middle of an election season?
They're
These
so stupid.
retards.
They come out with like this, ooh, scary sounding thing, right? That has like very easy things to pick out for the Democrats to pick out to say, oh my God, this is like really bad. And then kind of associate that with Trump and try to weigh down his chances of winning. So it completely makes sense for Trump to just come out and say, like, I don't know anything about this fucking shit. Like, get out of here. Stop bothering me with this Project 2025 stuff. So,
The Democrats are trying to sell it hard. That's the
yeah.
thing. They're like, look, Trump is so bad, we can nominate a potted plant. And I just think, no, you can't. Look, and it's
Hmm.
the fact that they would do that is disgusting. Is
Right.
disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is what's, you know, why I really think that I mean, I don't know if they would, but the Democrats, I would say this if I was like the Democratic operatives, like the shadowy Democrats at the DNC or whoever, I'd be like, okay, I'll sit down and tell Joe Biden, I'm like, listen, you're going to either drop out or we're going to pressure your cabinet to 25th Amendment you. We're going to go to every single one of your cabinet members and say, hey, if you like to keep existing in the Democratic Party after, this election, then you need the 25th Amendment, Joe Biden.
How's that look? I mean, you're a two-term president, but you got yanked from office in your first month.
No, 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 no.
Ugh.
Before the election.
Oh, even worse. You're
I'd
look,
say before the election to get them to drop out. Yeah,
you're a
to force
three
them to drop
quarter of
out.
a term president.
Yes. Yeah, no, because it seems they need to force him out any way they can. Not this
Yeah.
bullshit. Like it's his decision, man. It's like fuck that.
Well, that would be the best because Kamala Harris could run around for a couple months and look presidential if she can even pull it off, which I'm doubtful she can. She needs to just I don't know why this whole idea that she laughs at her own jokes and
Hmm.
she just needs to stop laughing. Period. She needs to think I am a serious person.
Well, she's a very unlikable cadence in the way that she speaks. It's like
Yeah.
very not great. It's very that Southern California Valley girl, but like in a grown woman who makes her seem like she's drunk all the time.
Yeah. It's
It's
not
not
good.
great. It's very bad.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Ugh.
I know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Things are getting super interesting though.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I bound out of bed thinking, "Oh my god, what blew up today? This is great."
Right. Was there anything you want to talk about regarding that specific issue?
The election, no, I think pretty much I've said everything. Did I miss anything? I don't know.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know if you want to address the Twitter drama specifically or not. But if
I
you don't want
mean,
to, it's fine.
not well, I guess I mean, I said a little bit beforehand. I just the and look, this might be good for you guys to know. There's obviously this psychological bias that people have towards consistency, like they want to be consistent
You're
themselves
consistent, yeah.
and they want to appear consistent. And look, the sunk cost fallacy is part of it is wrapped up in this. Like we're looking for good cooperation partners for reciprocal altruism. So we're looking for consistency in people. And I felt like one of our detractors, I don't know, are we naming him?
Sure.
Pisco, that Pisco piece of shit
Pisco,
guy. Yeah.
yes.
So I think he did a very unfair thing where he basically went back through all of our live streams. He spent like maybe, I don't know, 2 days going through all of our old live streams and picking out where I said I thought that Trump was dangerous, which is completely true. Like all of those things, I haven't changed on any of those things.
Hmm.
There's two opposite dangers here, and you kind of have to weigh which is the lesser danger. And at this point, I think Trump is the lesser danger. So look, I didn't go back and look at all the clips, but whatever I said, I stand by it. Like, I don't think
Right.
Trump is like uniquely good now, but he's basically set up this situation where he's trying to make it seem as though I am inconsistent so he can frame me as dishonest. And I just think it's bullshit, because when I said all of those things about Trump, the Democrats had not literally nominated a potted plant
Right.
to go up against Trump. So,
Right.
and it's kind of offensive that the Democrats think, well, because Trump has done all of these terrible things, we can nominate anyone. Like, Jeffrey Dahmer is the candidate now, right?
Hmm.
It's like, no, 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 no. It's not how it works.
Well, that's what was funny to me is that like, he spent however much time he did to like compile all these clips of in the past of you or the past like 4 years saying like all this, bad stuff about Trump. And it's funny because like everything Pisco does is performative. He has the emotional control of a 2-year-old and he just can't help himself. Like Pisco really reminds me of, we watched this clip and this clip perfectly encapsulates like Pisco. He's one of those Palestinian protesters on a college campus that doesn't actually care about helping the cause that they claim that they stand
Oh
for.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So we watched this clip of, um, Norm Finkelstein give like a 30-minute speech about why the protesters shouldn't use the phrase from the river to the sea in Intifada because even if they don't mean it this way, it has this association that automatically gets them labeled as terrorists. And from a like pragmatic, you know, consequentialist kind of view, all that does is hurt the movement. And that the goal should be to help the Palestinian people. So if you're doing things that hurt the movement, even if they feel good, then that's bad for the Palestinian people.
Yep.
And he gave this long speech for like 30 minutes. And literally the second he was done with the speech and walked off on stage, you know, Pisco comes up and says, "From the river to the sea," and all the people in the crowd chant it back because they
Yeah.
don't care. Because it's not about, for them and for Pisco, it's not actually about whatever the cause is, right? For them, it's not about actually helping the Palestinian people. For Pisco, it's not about, oh my God, I have to make sure Adam tells people in his audience not to vote for Trump. It's not about that. Because if it was about that, they would actually pause and they take the time to reflect and say, okay, what should I do to get that to like manifest itself in reality, right? What action
Right.
should I take to get that goal to become accomplished? But they don't because these people don't actually care about that. All they care about is satisfying the emotion inside them, the anger inside them, the feeling inside them, the purpose, the meaning. So all they do is they just want to go off and act, unhinged. They just want to go and get angry, right? That's what's
Yeah.
the actual goal. The goal is not, the cause. The goal is just to give their, shallow lives meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
And that's why they act that way. And that's why I thought was ridiculous with Pisco is that, the last time we did this game with him, because he's like the scorpion
Oh
in
yeah,
the
he
Scorpion
is.
and the Frog.
Totally.
Terrible because, the last time this happened, he ran to Destiny. He was complaining about, a take that I had. And so we had him on this, and I was like, what the, it was like weird because it wasn't even like a big issue. Like and he completely mischaracterized everything I said and
It was
was
over the Speaker of the
unhinged.
House
It
situation.
was the
Yeah.
Speaker of the House situation, yeah.
Right.
And so then we had him on and we had a big argument about it. And at the end of the argument, and I think I don't know if I or Pondering was there, or someone else was there too. I forget who. And at the end of it, we watched a video of, people that were like defending Hamas or something, right?
Hmm.
And
Oh, I
and
forgot about that. Yeah, you're
right,
right.
we watched this whole video, and so that completely allowed Pisco, whoever else was in the call with us, to go from being the people that we're arguing with to being like, oh, well, we're all on the same side against like actual crazy people. And I even said
Right.
this to them at the end of the stream. I said, look, this is like, I'm trying to like bury the hatchet here. I like literally, after you did this like really shitty thing where you try to, run the Destiny's audience to get like a wave of people to attack me for an opinion which you completely mischaracterize, and it's like ridiculous that you're attacking me for this opinion. Um, I like went on my way to try to like give you some capital with our audience after our big argument. So like we can move, like we should be like trying to move forward and not be like so shitty to each other. And he actually agreed to that and acknowledged that. And you even said like, okay, yeah, like, try to not like being like shit talking us to Destiny's audience anymore. And he said he would.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was so funny because after that, not by him, but by other people, there's like this weird straw man has been like created in Destiny's audience's mind that like all we do is like defend Trump, which is
Right.
anyone
Which
who's
is
listening right
ironic
now.
considering he did like a 35 tweet thread of
Well,
us
that's it.
thrashing Trump.
Exactly, exactly. So, but which first of all, anyone listening now knows that that's ridiculous because we always get accused of having TDS from like the half of our audience that is very pro-Trump. But so I thought it was hilarious that so when Pisco finally does the thing that he said he was going to do months and months and months ago to defend us to Destiny's audience because we're being strawman that we're somehow like soft on Trump or something. It's not actually to do that. It's to
It's
try to
to
attack you.
it's to
Right.
badmouth me.
And
Exactly.
that's what's kind of hilarious is so he like he compiles this like massively long compilation of you attacking Trump, and then he goes and retweets it and goes to Destiny's subreddit to get them to blow it up. And it's like I guess Destiny's audience is too stupid or
They
confused to
are.
realize that this completely contradicts the straw man that they had already had of us before. So
They don't care about the narrative. They just
no,
want to
no, no,
hate
of
on us.
course
We're
not.
like
Yeah,
we're the
right,
enemy, which I just look,
right.
I don't get. And look, I don't want to talk shit about Destiny's audience because it is a tiny vocal minority of Destiny's audience.
That's
Like
true. It's
the
his.
super
Yeah, that's
leftist
true.
TDS people
Right,
who hate our guts, but our largest overlap is with Destiny's audience. Like a lot of
right.
you guys like Destiny and watch Destiny's shit. Like
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're here because you like the interesting conversations that Sitch and I have in the same way that you like the interesting conversations that Destiny has with other people. Like he's a
right.
good art. Destiny is good at argument. He's good at exploring ideas. Like when he engages in good faith, I think he does some good in the world. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's like the Men in Black quote, uh, a person is smart, but people are dumb,
Oh
right? You get
yes.
like
True.
the mob of people and get like just crazed, and everyone's looking for the person to attack or whatever. So I just yeah, and I thought it was just so like hilarious that Pisco's like accusing you of being a hypocrite, which makes absolutely no sense. And when I was talking to him on Twitter, he even like eventually acknowledged that it made no fucking sense what he was even talking about. You know,
Really? I
yeah,
didn't I look, I blocked him. I didn't see any of this.
right,
I just I don't really have I don't like the bad faith stuff, especially on Twitter, just because it gets so annoying. I know you can mute people,
right.
but what happens is they just continue to talk shit about you and you just don't see it. And it becomes a problem. It does. Like you can't tweet anything without them right under your tweet, trying to spoil your audience against you. So
Well, that's why, and that's what I was when I was talking to him on Twitter about this. I didn't even address the issue because that didn't matter. I was like, what, like, why do you feel compelled to,
destroy our
uh,
reputation like
well,
some
yeah, to
catty ex-girlfriend.
like, instead, like, if Adam has some take that you don't like, why, and your goal would actually be to change his mind, why do you think that, just tweeting dunk attempts on Twitter and then retweeting every single one to your audience, posting every single reply on Destiny subreddit, like that's not going to do anything except, that's not going to enact the change in the world you want. You're just doing this for digital likes. You're just doing this because you have the emotional control of a 2-year-old. And so
Well,
he
that's
didn't like, he
so
got very
true.
mad about all this stuff. So,
Look,
so
I don't read Destiny subreddit. Sometimes our people come and say, "Oh, Adam, you're up to like 6 threads now." And I just laugh.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But no, it's just unfortunate because he's the scorpion in the frog and scorpion. He did, he's done this I think 3 times. This is the third time he's done this. So obviously it's in it. Listen, it's in Pisco's nature to pee, right? That's all he does. He just pees all over himself. So
Well, he's put himself in a good position for us
mhm.
because look, we've had him on several times trying to bury the hatchet, thinking, this maybe we can get through to him. Like we're in full persuasion mode with him, right? And our audience hates it. Our audience hates this guy's guts.
Right.
So I mean, if we invite him on and just dunk on him for 2 hours, we're gonna make like $2,000 in super chat.
That
So
is
he's
true.
welcome on the channel anytime,
Well,
right?
it's unfortunate because like literally right before all this came into like blew up and right before I got COVID, um, I was like, I wanted last Sunday.
I
I
know
was
we
like, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we can get like a bunch of different lawyers to argue the Trump immunity thing. Cause I still don't really know. I'm still like
right.
on the fence about it. And I was like, oh, we could try to get, like I know like who I could get on like one side, like on the quote,
Yeah.
like the Trump immunity thing is not a big deal side. There's a bunch of lawyers I know. And I was trying to think like who could I get on the Trump immunity is like the worst thing ever.
Pisco.
And
Yep.
yeah, because he's sort of been like the big voice. And I was like, oh, we could get Pisco and like maybe some other people, maybe he knows some other people to like come on and have like this conversation, be great. And then this all shit, I'm like, oh God.
Look,
And it was funny
don't
because
it
as
could
I
still
was thinking
happen.
this
I don't
thought,
care.
oh, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with Pisco before where I tell him to like chill the fuck out because whenever he like opens his mouth, he's such an asshole that he turns everyone in the audience off of his side unless they're already on his side to begin with.
No, you want that. That's good for
No,
us.
but I wanted an actual, well, I didn't because I wanted an actual, because I don't know. I don't know who's right about the Trump immunity thing. So I actually wanted an actual substantive, neutral, conversation on it without, mudslinging.
If you guys missed Sitch's talk with Mr. Ubercross on our last stream, it's really good because they kind of go into the various ways to look at that decision. It is completely, I mean, it's completely opaque to me. And you're just relying on experts. It's not like, well, you can read the law, but I mean, the law is interpreted by
Right.
lawyers and judges and stuff like that. So even that has some level of subjectivity to it, right?
Right.
It's not like physics or something like that.
So, anyways.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think
also,
Christian Baller was lamenting that I blocked
mhm,
Pisco, but don't worry, Christian. Like he can come on the channel. It's okay. It's all right.
the Pisco that pees. Let me read some super chats. John Watts for 15 months. Thanks so much. Says, really need you or Short Fat Otaku to look at Project 2025 and tell us the scoop. I can't even tell if Trump supports it or not. I only read part of it. It's very long, obviously. I read the abortion part, and I mean, obviously, it's got a lot of stuff that if you're pro-life, you would be in favor of, and if you're pro-choice, you would not be in favor of. It does have something that directly contradicts Trump, at least in a couple areas, which is that they directly want the federal government to use the FDA to ban the
The
abortion pill,
abortion pill. Yeah.
which Trump
Plan
said
B.
during the debate that he supports.
Oh,
Um,
really? I don't remember
yeah, it was
that.
one of the questions. Oh, maybe you got distracted because of
I
Joe
did.
Biden.
Yeah. I was like,
Yes.
Biden is imploding here.
Yeah, no, they specifically asked him. He said he wouldn't. I don't know if he said he supports it, but he said he wouldn't do anything to make it illegal from a federal level.
Plan B? Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Um,
he'd keep Plan B legal. That's Trump's position.
right. Well,
That's
and
the
then Trump's
position.
position
Yeah.
was also to just, I don't know what he's going to do, but his position has always been, I'm just going to give it back to the states to do whatever the states want to do.
Well, in
And
the town hall, he did say he was going to negotiate a deal that would be everyone would love. You'll love this deal. It's going to be amazing.
right, that's
A
what he says
deal
about
everyone is
everything.
happy with. Yeah.
That's what he says about everything. So,
Yeah. But he also has said that he would not sign a federal abortion ban. He's been very
yes.
clear about that. Biden has
Yes.
been lying like crazy. All I hear is Trump is a liar, but Biden's the one lying about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see if Trump wins. We'll see what happens. I mean, I could definitely see a scenario where Trump just says, "Ha," like does whatever. But
Why?
obviously, what his stated
Why?
position, it's
What
because
does
it
he
depends
have
on
to
what kind of
gain?
pressure he gets when he's a president.
Yeah, but he's not going to get he doesn't care about another term. He can't run again, so he doesn't care. He's not going to do anything that's going to ruin his legacy.
Yeah, but that depends how he's sold what his legacy will be.
You think? Oh, you. So you. I don't know. I mean,
That's what
crazier
I'm saying.
things have happened. Like
We can't. We're
I'm
not in
the
the
one
room.
that banned abortion forever.
Yeah, maybe I could see him being convinced that that would be, good for his legacy or not. It's unclear to me. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know. You could.
Ivanka would beat the shit out of him. There's no
There you
way.
go. There you go. But obviously, his stated position has been to just kick it back to the states mostly. So,
Yeah.
but so there's a lot of things in the abortion part of 2025 that are all about using federal government control to remove as much abortion from the country as possible. They don't go as far as to advocate for a federal law banning abortion, but they basically try to do everything up until that point to make it as onerous as possible. They kind of imply they want a federal ban without saying it very directly. So I understand why Trump would obviously be very against that. The other element of it that I didn't look into too much, but seemed pretty bad, and it's actually kind of this annoys me, is that the Project 2025 has this idea. I forget what it's called. There's some term of this where there's a bunch of people that work right now in the various halls and chambers of the federal government who are supposed to be nonpartisan government workers that just work for the energy department, work for the whatever the billion State Department, the billion departments, and their job is just to keep the energy going, the water clean, the air clean. They're just like they're supposed to be completely nonpartisan actors. They're just supposed to be keeping the country together, right?
Right.
And the Project 2025 has this idea that it basically wants all these workers to no longer be nonpartisan actors, but to be directly partisan shills that will just do whatever the party wants. And it's really it's a really first of all, it's a very stupid idea because even if they got that, it's like, okay, so say Trump wins and he enacts this policy. So like literally every government worker in the government and all the lower levels are all, political appointees. First of all, it'd be so strenuous to do this. Like you literally spend 90% of your administration just trying to staff like these billion fucking positions with political hacks. But even if you did do that, it's like, okay, so what happens when you lose and then the Democrats win and they just put all the Democrats in all these positions and they just do all their Democrat shit now. Like it's really just creating this massive weapon for the federal government to just flip-flop like so dramatically with every presidential cycle. It's a horrifyingly stupid decision from that perspective. And also
Ouch.
because I mean, you want there to be a bunch of people that work in the government that aren't politically motivated, that are just trying to keep things, together, right? That are just
Yeah,
trying to
of
keep
course.
the lights on and
The
not
deep
have everything
state.
fall apart. Well, not the deep state.
This the deep base of the nation. The stable state.
But then the problem is that the Republicans are because they're so enamored with the concept of the deep state, they don't believe that like based on nothing. They don't believe that there's all these just like, thousands of random government workers who are just doing their random government jobs like maintaining the parks and stuff. They don't believe they believe that they're all like secretly, part of the deep state to get rid of Trump. So that in their minds justifies doing this action, which would make things significantly worse if, any of this stuff actually happened. Or tried to make all these political, positions.
Yeah, look, I understand the logic. People don't like seeing money come out of their paycheck and think this is going to somebody else's paycheck who sits behind a desk and takes money when I go fishing. It's like
Yeah,
it
but
just
they weren't talking about cutting them. They're talking about just making them all political hacks, essentially,
right.
which that's stupid. And it's weird because it's basically like creating the Project 2025 is basically creating a political deep state, which I thought was they didn't want. So
Oh,
I don't know. The,
really?
the whole thing seems retarded, but
I just saw like a long list of proposals that
mhm.
honestly seemed like it was cooked up by the Democrats because it's like all the things you should fear about the Republicans
Right.
labeled under Project 2025.
Yeah.
That's all I saw. So I don't
Hmm.
know who came up with it or what the thinking was behind it. So, but a
Right.
couple people asked us to dig in and look into it. That's cool if you want to
Hmm.
look at it.
But yes, I mean, so Trump's smart for not for publicly denouncing it. I don't know if he secretly supports it or not, but he's smart for denouncing it. So,
Yeah, sounded insane.
Lucy in the Sky, thanks so much for the 5 gifted memberships,
Nice.
even though you don't like
Lucy
forks.
in the sky.
Uh,
With what?
with chopsticks.
Oh, you so
Go Humag
bad.
for 23 months says, Tim Pool actually had a reasonable take on the Biden has Parkinson's narrative that's been going around.
Really? A
Really?
Temple reasonable take.
I know.
We collect
Shocking.
those.
Shocking, right?
Those are like collector's cards, right? The very rare ones.
He
I
had
couldn't
some
resist. Come
he had some
on.
crazy it was the voting registration thing. That was like someone sent me this Tim Pool voting registration video and I watched it and it made me I realized something. No one understands how voting registration works.
No, they don't. They
And
don't
it's really
understand
sad.
anything about voting.
No. Like so because like right now the Republicans are passing or they want to pass this bill, which is purely performative. Um that basically is like we got to make sure that you're a citizen before you register to vote. And then you go, okay, the average person says that sounds reasonable to me. And the Democrats, well, okay, I'm going to be fair. So I read the bill and it's kind of not super clearly worded. So I don't know if there's some insidious thing inside of it that's unclear, which is possible because it's kind of very opaque when you read it.
Are they
Because it does
making a
that
bill
thing.
like I always do when I say, "Look, I had dinner with Jay Leno the other night." Is that the crux of what the bill is? It's like,
Well, it does this thing where it says like, oh, we're going to amend existing laws by adding this, this, and this instead of that, that, and that. And you don't really know what any of that means unless you bring up all the various laws it's amending and try to read them side by side, which I haven't done.
mhm.
So I don't know. So it's
Ooh,
possible,
okay. So
right?
it's really hard to discern what actually is happening.
Right. So it's possible that there's something sneaky in there. I don't know. Because when you kind of just read it normally, it doesn't seem like it's bad. It seems like it actually does nothing because all it kind of cements. Because I read an article that was saying like, oh, this is making it so that you can't use your driver's license to register to vote, which is shitty and weird. But then when I read the bill, it seemed like it wasn't saying that. I could be wrong, but it seemed like it was saying it wasn't saying that. It was just saying you need to have like your driver's license has to be a real ID driver's license, which my understanding is every state already has those and has had those for like a while now. So I don't think that should be like a big issue.
Right.
So it does seem to be just performative. But if it's just performative, I don't know why the Democrats don't just sign it just to not give this like optics victory to the right. So, and they haven't really explained in good reason why they're against it. So anyway, no one understands how voting registration works because I saw Tim and other people kind of like going crazy about this on Twitter. And, I looked it up what the requirements were for Florida because it's obviously been a long time since I registered to vote. And anyone could look up, any of these states' voter registration forms. And it seemed like every state I looked at, including Florida, you have to, you're supposed to put in your driver's license number if you have one and the last 4 digits of your social security number. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, if you have to put your social in there, why, what are people complaining about? That's how you know if the person is a citizen or not.
Right.
You have to put your social security in to register. Like problem's already solved. And a lot of people were like replying back to me like, but Sitch, you don't have to be a citizen to get a social security number. You can like sometimes if you're a legal immigrant, you can apply for a social security number if you're working. And bunch of people said this to me, and I realized people have no clue how voting registration works when they give me that response. Like people don't realize when okay, the government has all of your information already. If you're a legal citizen of the United States of America and you have a social security number and you have a driver's license and a driver's license number, the government has a record of all this information already. It already exists. When you sign your voter registration form, what you're doing is you're saying, I, John blah blah blah
Mhm.
am this specific John blah 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 because there's 20 other John blah blah blahs in your state and the like I'm identifying that I'm this specific person in your records via my driver's license, via my social security, and I want to be able to vote. That's all you're doing. They already know who can vote. So when you write your information on your voter registration thing, you're not telling them something they don't know. You're just identifying who you are in their records. And then they look at it and they just go, let's see, John, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Records say he's a citizen, or records say he hasn't committed any felonies. Okay, he can vote. Here's his voter registration card.
Yeah, then they sign you up to hit a polling location or they mail you a ballot, depending upon whether
Right,
you check what box you check.
right. And I'm like, people don't realize that. Because when people say like you can get a social security if you're not an immigrant, I'm like, yeah, but do you understand that if you're an immigrant and you have a social security number and you write that down and you send it to the government and they, punch it into the computer, it says this person is not eligible to vote because they're a fucking immigrant.
Right.
They're not a citizen. And then
Yeah.
they send you back a letter that says you can't vote because you're not a citizen. So I
Right.
don't like that's why I like it's just people have no clue how voting registration works. They think that people just write down on the form and the government looks at it and says, "Oh, well, you put a number here in your social security number, so I guess that means that you get the vote now." Like and I mean part of it I guess is the Democrats' fault because they've never just explained it, but like the government already knows this information. It's just they're just checking. So
There can be mistakes. I mean, obviously, if you're a felon and you're not supposed to vote, I think you can register to vote, but if you vote as a felon, it's a crime. So I don't think like the felon database is cross reference with the Social Security database.
mhm.
So that could be an issue, but
I'm sorry, I got a message. What did you say? I kind
that's
of
okay.
some
Who
okay.
cares?
Anyway, so I just
Well,
it's annoying. People don't understand how voting registration works. So the whole thing is just to identify yourself to the government who already has this information already. But
I mean, I register under several names, so I
there
can
you
vote,
go. There you go.
10 or 12 times, you
Right.
know.
Now there's a different problem. And this is why usually when you have problems with like voter fraud, it's what people do. They don't like create a bunch of fake people and try to get them on voter rolls because it's too difficult. What they do is they go to old folks' homes and they like basically, harvest their ballots or they find people who are dead but still on the voting rolls and then they use that to make, to make fake votes essentially. So,
I remember I remember watching CNN on the day of the Obama election, the first Obama election, and CNN was like running around asking black people, how do you feel about voting for the first black president?
right.
Obviously hard hitting journalism here, right?
Right.
And they put the microphone in one guy's face, and the guy is like, "Oh yeah, this is a great day. I voted like 3 or 4 times already."
hmm
And the
That's
CNN
hilarious.
the CNN host was just like how do I respond to this? Like
That's funny.
it's either fraud was committed or he's just like lying and he
He's
doesn't
fucking with it.
understand
Yeah.
voting at all. Yeah.
Right.
And he's just lying basically to get on
Well, see,
camera. But
that's weird because I don't know what state that was in. And then people kept conflating registration with getting with ballots, which is a completely different thing. But because like in Florida, I don't even know how that would be possible to do that. Because when you go to vote,
to vote, yeah, you can't vote 2 or 3. Come on.
right, you have to
Obviously he's
sign in.
lying.
Right. You have to walk to the person and they say, like, give me your ID and your little voter registration card. And you do, and they mark down that you're voting at this location and they give you a specific ballot associated with your name that has, your district, your county, whatever the things that you're going to vote for, vote on. And then you go and vote.
Yeah, don't they match them against the voter rolls? Like they have a certain voter roll.
Yeah.
So if they have 1,000 people on the voter roll and they have 2,000 people voted, they're like, what?
Well,
What
and you think
happened here?
nowadays with everything being on a database, should be easier to prevent someone from going to multiple sites to vote. So it doesn't really
Yeah.
make sense how that would happen. But
I mean, someone probably could go to multiple sites and fill in like what do they call them? A provisional ballot. And
no, but as
who
soon as you
knows
go to
if
the
they got
site,
caught?
no, but I'm saying like as soon as you go to the second site and you try to vote again, it should already be in the database that you've already voted once. That's what's
I mean,
confusing.
not how they do it here. Here they have like a giant thing. It's completely antiquated. They have your name on this giant list of paper and they just cross your name out and ask you to sign next to your name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you could go
Oh,
to
okay.
you
Well,
could
if it's
go
that, I mean, obviously, then you can multiple vote. That's retarded. They should
well
really
look,
put it on a computer. That's really fucking stupid.
you could go to the place that is your polling location at where
Right.
you're actually on the list. You could go to another polling location where you're not on the list and say, "Well, can I fill out a provisional ballot?" And they'll give you a provisional ballot to fill out.
Oh,
But
I
the
see.
reason why they
Interesting.
call it a provisional ballot is
Right,
because
right.
it's not going to be cast if you've gone someplace else or if they tally up the voter rolls and the voter rolls are like too many people voted. So,
Sure, sure. Yeah, but yeah, right. But well, the provisional one means that they're going to check to make sure there was no shenanigans
yeah.
in the first place. I mean, maybe Florida got shit together more because you didn't want to be the butt of the
Yeah,
jokes after
totally.
2000
Yeah.
election. So,
2000, everyone got on their case and they're like, never again.
right, right.
Never again. They should have a T-shirt like that. You know how they have the never again with September 11th? They have the Twin Towers. They should have
Mhm.
a never again with like hanging chads.
What? Oh, yeah, right, right.
Never. Florida will never be the butt of the.
They do track I don't know. They do track this information. I don't know what, I have no clue what people are talking about because when you register to vote, they, number one, the reason they're asked for that information is to, quote, identify who you are, to check if you're a citizen, and to check if you're a felon. They check all this information when you register to vote. Anyone that tells you otherwise is no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you could just write up, like, you think you could just, otherwise, none of the things, think about it this way. If that wasn't true, no law that the Republicans are talking about would actually prevent an illegal citizen from voting. If they don't have
You
a database to check it against, because then you could just take take a voter registration thing, hand it to an illegal person. They could write their name. They could just make up a fake social security number. They could make up a fake driver's license number. And well, the government doesn't check it. They just get the thing in the mail. They go, oh, someone's registering the vote. Here you go. Right? That doesn't even make sense.
They do have ballot harvesting and stuff like that. You know about that, right?
Yeah, but as I said, the ballot harvesting is on for dead people and for old people. It's not for made up people generally.
No, ballot harvesting is when you go to people like a candidate will come to you and say, "Look, I'm going to pay you per vote," and the person will go out. Like
So I said,
sometimes they'll have like a picnic or something
right.
where everyone comes and fills out their ballot and gives them
Sure.
over to them, and they verify that it's for their
Oh, and
candidate,
they're just
and
paying the people through the vote.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
sure,
drop
okay.
them all. They
Right, but
drop
that's
them
a
all off. Yeah.
okay. I mean,
Well,
that's
no, they're
illegal,
not.
but
They're not paying the
that's
people. The candidate is paying the ballot harvester, and the ballot harvester is just like saying you should vote for my candidate,
right,
and
right, right,
having a
right.
big picnic to persuade
Okay.
everyone to
I mean,
vote
that
for their
has
candidate.
nothing to do with what I was talking about.
No,
But,
I'm not.
right,
I'm not saying it has anything to do with what you're
right.
talking about. I'm just saying like it does happen. So
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of different ways to get out the vote that seem
Sure.
nefarious, and
Of course.
yeah.
Hmm. Uh, excuse me. As for the Biden has Parkinson's thing, I don't know enough about Parkinson's, but I know there's some complaining about like the doctor was a Parkinson's doctor or not. So,
What?
um,
What's this? Who? What is this? A not.
you don't know what,
I'm reading the super chat here.
which one?
Anon on YouTube for $20 says, y'all see Blunty Fly invaded Tim Pool's podcast? Tim
No, I
can't
didn't see
seem to
that.
get him. The
Wow.
Fly's arguments are too valid. A team reigns supreme. That's right. Look,
There you
Blunty
go.
Fly.
I like him.
Was there like a fly in his studio or something that there? I hope they didn't kill Blunty Fly. Jesus. It was just weed, officer. It was just weed.
hmm
Let him go. Well, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Metal Face Rose for $10 says, excuse me.
Look,
Have you seen the new Lindsay Ellis video on Yoko and the Beatles? It somehow ends with an insane defense of Amber Heard. Might be interesting video to cover. Also, what's your favorite Beatles song?
ooh, that's always a tough one.
Lindsay Ellis, I thought she was quit. I didn't even know she's still making videos.
There's so many good Beatles songs. I don't know. I like While My Guitar Gently Weeps is good. Here Comes the Sun is fucking great. Oh man. I love Sergeant Pepper's. I like the White Album too, even though a lot of people don't like the White Album. Lovely Rita, Meter Maid. It's
I mean,
amazing.
I'm not a huge Beatles guy. I have a
Oh, really?
clear favorite song,
What is it?
which is Eleanor Rigby.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Beatles are
But
amazing.
it's kind of hilarious that I didn't think she was still making videos. I'll have to check. Is it on YouTube or is she doing it on like some weird platform that you like have to pay for to watch this stuff? So
Is there a new ContraPoints video too that might have come out? I saw ContraPoints did a podcast with that Everybody Hates Adam guy.
oh, I thought that
Yeah.
was like a while or they maybe they did. I thought they did one like a long time ago with that person.
Maybe they didn't. No. I mean, it's like a few days ago. So,
Oh, I'll check it out. See if there's anything interesting. Oh, you're right.
yeah.
How ContraPoints reinvented philosophy for YouTube.
You watch that. The
Oh,
intro is
Jesus Christ.
hilarious. He's like
It's hilarious.
blowing smoke about how great the Jordan Peterson video is, which I think we covered in.
It was really bad,
Yeah,
yeah.
ContraPoints doesn't really say anything.
No. That's ContraPoints is like amazing skill
Mm-hmm.
is to say
Yeah.
nothing and people go, "Oh, you're a genius."
Yeah, look at all my fancy backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. Christian Baller, thanks so much for being outside simulation for 27 months. Says, does Adam still think Tim Scott for Trump's VP? I placed a $100 bet on him to be Trump's VP at 1,600 odds, feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're gonna make. Well, the odds are good, so at
Those are good
least
odds,
if you
yeah.
do make it, yeah, I don't know. Rumor has it he's going to pick somebody that is a good that can raise money, and with Kamala Harris in the mix now, I don't know. Like if you pick Nikki Haley, that could really like infuriate a lot of people and actually probably win a lot of moderates over. So yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know the VP. Everyone wants it. Like, isn't JD Vance is like really running for VP at this
That would
point?
be a
I see
terrible choice for Trump to pick
JD
JD Vance.
Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because the doesn't he have like the weird Christian nationalist stuff?
I don't know if, I mean, he's a huge Moldbug simp. So do you really want to bring that? Like Trump is being accused of being, a fascist authoritarian, and then he picks a VP who's in favor of a corp of like monarchy. Like that's a terrible decision.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's I forgot about the Molebug stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
they're gonna dig that up constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. Gene, the angry penguin for $5 says it's not birtherism, it's deatherism. Quote, he's deceased, released his blood oxygen level and pulse rate documentation. There you go.
Yeah, true.
That's funny. That cringe for 20 months. Thank you so much. Says, hey guys, please tell me you saw Candace Owens' video saying that actually the Allies are the ones that genocided and the Nazis are not as bad. Yeah, I saw the
What?
clip of it. I saw the clip, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks really bad." So I'm gonna watch the whole video in the context to see if it's as bad as it seems. So she made some comment about how like she didn't say quite that the Nazis weren't that bad, but she was making a clip about like how, oh, we say the Nazis are so bad. First of all, it's funny. She doesn't know what the word ethnic, she doesn't know what the term ethnic cleansing means, which like to be fair, most of us probably didn't until recently, but it gets thrown around so often you'd think you'd have looked it up by now. She thinks ethnic cleansing is the same thing as genocide when it's not.
Oh,
Ethnic cleansing
really?
means you're just moving like an ethnic group outside of a location. You're trying to forcibly remove them from a location, but I guess she didn't realize that yet. So she keeps saying ethnic cleansing when she means genocide. So she's like, "Oh, the people think Nazis are so bad because they did a genocide, but did you know the Allies genocided a bunch of Germans?" And you're like, "Oh God." So I'll have
Oh,
to go watch this video now. I wouldn't be surprised if Candace Owens becomes the weird blackface, like the unironic blackface of white nationalism, like by the
oof,
end of the year.
oof.
I wouldn't be that surprised. Uh, let's see. Risano Kairyu for $20. Thank you so much. Says obviously Usay Biden doesn't have Parkinson's disease, and or else there would be more White House visits from Michael J. Fox. There you go. Terrible.
What if he loses Michael J. Fox? Oh
That's the
man,
real
it's
pro. Yeah.
over. Michael J. Fox. I just want to see him come out against Biden.
Girl Sarah for $5 says, no offense to Big Dog, Vinny the Doberman, but VTubers need to face the wall. Wow. I don't even like Los Doyors. I don't know who that is, but they don't deserve that, man. There you go. Adam's Robot for 19 months. Thanks so much. Says, hey, nerds. Hey, Adam.
Hey, what's up?
Risuno Kairyu for another $5. Thank you. Says, everyone write in PSA Sitch for president. President Sitch for life. Make America hey now again. There you go. I like it. Clockwork
Cool.
for $5 says, y'all should have Connor counterfire counterpoints on. He's voting Democrat no matter what. Would be a good debate against Adam.
Is he really?
There you go.
Yeah.
Sure, I like counterpoints. Yoni Sagi for 2 months says his brain is in an external cooling unit, his heart made to pump by a gasoline machine, his eyes kept open by the fear of his subjects. Biden is so metal.
Wow.
There you go. There you go.
That's some good imagery there.
It is. Gypsy Harlow for $5 says, that's all well and good, but on the voting issue, if France taught us recently, that's all nonsense. I didn't follow anything that was going on with France.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what you're. Like, the only thing I saw was that supposedly the right-wing party won a bunch more votes, but because France has some like weird electoral system, like they still lost or something. I don't know how any of it works. So
we're so stereotypically American that we don't pay any attention.
I don't give a flag. But I wouldn't compare any country that has some wacky, completely different voting system to America. So
it's like France is fascist now. Oh, well, good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay away.
Christian Baller for $5 says, new TDS definition, the inability to steelman Trump voters due to personal negative bias against Trump, whether rational or not. Thoughts?
Great. I'll take it.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, Pisco suffers from TDS, so.
Obviously, yeah.
Look, it'll be a lot. If Trump wins, at least we'll get the epic Pisco meltdowns for 4 years. So
there you go. There you go.
Looking forward to that.
Red 473 for $5 says, gentlemen, don't expect Destiny or his orbiters to act sane for the next few months if Biden stays in and his approval ratings stay under 40%. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, you always have to remember, as we get closer to the election, people just become more and more unhinged for their candidates. So.
Destiny's arguments in that debate against Cenk were virtually the same arguments that I laid out about how when I was saying, well, obviously Biden is not going to step down until he can be presented with evidence that he's going to, that there's a capable person stepping up to take his place that's going to win. Mm-hmm. Like if the person taking over for him is going to lose, then might as well just stick with Biden. And that's what Destiny was saying. So, I mean, look, I agree with that.
Right.
So that's the calculus that the Democrats are taking. But look, at this point, things are going to happen. Moments are going to happen in the election. Like I said, even though I hate Kamala Harris with a burning passion, I would still be an undecided voter in this situation. Like I'd hear her out. I'd see what she's going to say. I'd hope she's waned on wokeness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you just got to step aside and see if she can sway the polls, if she can turn that deficit around, right? That's the thing to do. There's no way that Biden can turn that deficit around. Like the more he campaigns, the worse the polling deficit is going to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
The Just 35 for 22 months says, Adam, it's not fear-mongering when Trump already tried to coup the government, throw out a legitimate election, and tried to extort allies for political gain.
Well, it is fear-mongering, though, to say that he's going to end democracy, right? I mean, I don't think...
Well, I don't think that's going to happen either, but if you do, it's not fear. Like, if you legitimately think it, I guess it would still be, quote,
it is
I don't know
if
if I would define it fear-mongering at that point, but...
Look, you're fear-mongering on... You're basically freaking people out on little to no evidence. Like, just because he tried... and this is interesting. I notice people say he tried to coup the government. I mean, I've called it a bloodless coup to stay in office. I don't know that it would have worked. Like, and Sitch, I noted earlier when we were talking about this, you specifically said that you don't think that there are some guardrails around Trump being able to weaponize the government. Like whether or not that's even a possibility is debatable. So I mean, there are some guardrails in the situation of Trump. I don't know what kind of guardrails there are in the situation of Biden. Right? Anyway, let's move on. Oh, Sitch left. Okay. Al Clip. I'll wait for Sitch to get back. That name is. I'll just read the super chat.
Okay, don't worry about it. I was listening. I just had myself muted.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it. I don't remember what you said fear mongering in this stream, but yeah, I mean, it's not fear mongering in terms of things that Trump has done, obviously already. That's what I say. I don't think I don't. It is completely justified to think that Trump will do some stuff that will be really bad for the country if he wins again. But I just don't think it's going to be. I don't think he's going to bring fascism. I haven't seen evidence of that.
Yeah, I think there will be an election in 2028. Trump
Yeah.
will endorse somebody. Trump will try to stay active in politics. I mean, Trump might try to convince Ivanka to run in 2028.
Yeah, she's not going to want to.
You said, I mean, you said,
I
you
know.
said,
Listen, I guess my track record with predicting
yeah,
Trump
look,
behavior is not good, but
never underestimate the intoxication of power, Sitch.
okay.
Of course. Of course, now maybe now she doesn't, but when she sees her dad become the comeback king,
I know
and
she
sits
just
her
said she
down in the
didn't.
Oval
She
Office,
wanted nothing to do with the second term. I thought.
she saw her dad go insane. She was
Yeah,
not on board
exactly.
with January 6th at all.
No,
She's
she
like,
saw.
Dad, he would be in such a better place to win if he hadn't done January 6th. January 6th was just such a harebrained scheme.
Yeah, it was really stupid.
Even
But
if he managed to, the fake electors were accepted.
that would
I
have
mean,
been
this
devastating. Yeah.
the Supreme Court would have never, they would have turned it around. But I mean, obviously there'll be institutional damage done there.
That would have been, yeah, but that would have been irreparable damage to this country because you would have had all the Republicans would have voted for, well, presumably, you would have had a bunch of maybe all of the Republicans in the House would have voted for it. And at that point, I would have called all those people treasonous pieces of shit and that the Republican Party is doomed and can never be recovered until it's dismantled. And a lot of people would have said that and they would have been completely justified at that point. So
Yeah.
that would have been really bad. Even though, yes, I believe the Supreme Court would have thrown it out. So
But none of that happened.
none
The
of that happened,
Republican
unfortunately,
Party was saved. There was only a few
because one
magatons.
man,
Yeah.
Mike Pence, look at that.
Yeah.
Mike Pence saved the Republican Party, and his reward was that he got shat on during it, and no one wanted him to be the candidate. That was his reward.
You told me that Mike Pence wasn't even running for president. I was like, buddy. He was totally in it. Remember him?
Yep, but
Mike
I
Pence,
guess
I was the savior of
you're
the
right.
nation.
But I guess the difference was to me, it was so clearly obvious that doing that action would doom his chances of being president, and
Oh, me too.
I
Yeah.
guess he didn't realize that. So
He thought the electorate was in a different place. A
right,
lot of
right.
people do believe that the election was stolen, including Trump.
Yeah, but who cares? That's irrelevant to doing that. Doing what he did is it doesn't matter if you think it's stolen or
People
not.
believing things
So
without evidence, that's
I know.
impossible, Sitch.
I
Don't you
know.
know
I
how
know.
don't you know how this works?
Exactly. Uh OUE kilt poo.
Yeah. Thank
Jesus.
you. What the
I think
heck
this
is
is like
this?
it's like a name, but it's all like the jumbled up. For 10 Aussie bucks, thank you. Says, would you consider discussing the recent TYT RFK Jr. interview? My prior impression of him was anti-vaccine brainworm conspiracist. Cenk dives deep, pushes back to get his true policy positions or opinions. Um, I mean, I'm very shallow and I just am annoyed by his voice.
Oh,
It's hard
thank
for me to
God.
listen to him. So probably not,
Thank
but
God you said that. We have not
yeah,
covered JFK once because his voice is
RFK.
like, oh yeah, RFK. We've not covered him once because his voice is like nails on a chalkboard for both of us. I cannot
Right.
even listen to his interviews. He did some podcast that I tried to listen to and I made it like 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I got very motivated and I did a bunch of research. So I'm actually going to do a video on this. Um,
Oh, really? Wow.
so Tucker
Nice.
Carlson, because all he just constantly lies about everything. He's been pushing this narrative, which I think he stole whole cloth from Roger Stone. And I've
Hmm.
never heard him credit Roger Stone for this. Um, and he's repeated this for years. And I saw Scott Adams like thought it was so smart that he played it in his stream, and I'm like, I have to make a video response to this. This is so stupid.
Of Tucker Carlson. So he's falling for Tucker's
Oh
gaslighting.
yeah, I mean, Scott Adams has been completely gaslit by Tucker Carlson, Jack Posobiec, all these fucking retards.
Right.
Um, that that JFK was taken out by the CIA, and that the reason Nixon that Watergate wasn't a big deal. Watergate wasn't a big deal, and that the reason Nixon was resigned was that Watergate was a false flag by the CIA to force Nixon to like leave office.
Hmm.
If you don't recall, Watergate was people that worked for it was called CREEP, very unfortunate acronym, Committee to Reelect President Nixon. Um, was that they went into the DNC headquarters at the Watergate Hotel and they tried to take pictures of documents there and put a bunch of bugs and taps on the phone lines and things of that nature, essentially. And they got caught. And then Nixon tried to cover it up. And that's really what screwed him over, is that he tried to cover it up. And then they have, and the fact that Nixon recorded all these conversations of him talking about obstructing justice and trying to cover it up, is what got him to leave the presidency. So
Hmm.
so I looked into this because I knew about like the broad strokes, but I didn't know the details. The details are very interesting, and it really makes Tucker's point like the dumbest fucking thing. First of all, Tucker completely mischaracterizes either intentionally or buffoonishly a bunch of different conversations that Nixon has, and then which is par for the course for Tucker to lie or mischaracterize things out of incompetence. And but it's the whole thing is super interesting. So I'm gonna make a video on it and how Tucker
Sweet.
and Oliver Stone are just fucking retarded and don't know what they're talking about. So
I hope my notifications are still on.
well, I don't know if I'm gonna put it on my original channel or this channel.
Okay. Look,
We'll
if
see.
you put it on this channel, I'll see it. I'll watch it before you've said it public.
There you
That'll be
go.
great.
But it's an interesting topic. Fondue for $5 says, keep in mind this is the most important election in our lifetime. Never mind the other two elections they said were the most important elections ever. That's true.
Yeah, they always say that.
Yeah. Uh, Hennessy for $5 says, this is random Sitch. You should watch, quote, The Strongest Magician in Demon Lord Army Was a Human. It just released episode 3. You'll like it, I think. Okay, I'll check it out.
Sweet. Love recommendations.
I love all these terrible anime light novel titles.
Look at Ostracy coming after us here.
Oshie for $5 says, there's so much cope from you two on the stream. Just admit it. Me and the other right wingers have audience captured you. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, look, it's true. I'm so audience captured,
Yeah.
Ostracy.
Yeah.
Trump 2024, go MAGA.
There you go. Sammy in the chat said, a video. We are more likely to see Sitch in a dress before one of those on his channels. There you go. Sammy does not believe that I will produce a video.
We haven't done an audience. Every time we do an audience poll, it's like 60-40. When we
Mhm.
force people not to, they can't pick centrist, they always pick. When we force them to pick right or left, it's like 60% right, 40% left.
Yeah, it's been
So,
pretty consistent. So,
yeah, totally.
Colt Hammer for $10 says, what are the top factors that make someone become a leftist, or is it just neuroscience? I mean, I think people are basically born with their moral foundations essentially set into them for the most part.
Well, I can think of a couple reasons. There's obviously the fashion reason. There is, the person has grown up in the lap of luxury, and they were used to their parents providing everything for them, so they just think once they roll into adulthood, society should take over for the parents and provide everything for them in the same way. And
Hmm.
there's also, I do think, and this is why we have social safety nets and whatnot, because there was once upon a time when people actually knew this, that in a capitalist framework, you will have winners and losers. And if the losers stack up, and pretty soon you've got 60% of the electorate are economic losers because they've been locked out for whatever reason, then those people will tend to turn to socialist policies. If you work full time and you can't afford a place to live or paying for your utilities or just a normal quality of life, I mean, you're going to think the system is rigged and you're going to
Right.
go looking for another solution. So, and usually that solution is socialism, because socialism's always there waiting in the wings, right? We should abolish property rights, right? Why are you paying your landlord? That property belongs to you. That should be collective property,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So, yeah. And this is why we came up with the whole idea of social safety nets, to avoid those losers getting to the point where people are voting for socialism and destroying the whole shebang.
Right. There you go. Much better answer.
Yeah. Well, what
TL
was your
one
answer
five.
again?
Well, I think people are born with the moral foundations kind of set in their brain. But
Right.
then, to be clear, those moral foundations, those are like the height moral foundations. They're not like
Of
socialist
course.
or
Yeah.
libertarian or something. What specific ideology maps on that philosophy, is triggered by a whole bunch of environmental things, essentially. So,
Sure. Yeah.
which you went
And I'm
through
just laying
very
out the
nicely. Yeah.
environmental case.
Right.
Yeah. I guess it would be hard if somebody was just, they had the revulsion, physical revulsion to the idea of socialism, and they worked hard and just were completely shit on. They didn't make enough money, the market, everything was against them. They become economic losers, but still they don't want to think of themselves as victims, and so they're not going to turn to socialism, right?
No, they become
Yeah,
ANCAPs or very libertarian or whatever.
right.
So,
They blame something else. They're like, it's the
right.
government that's caused this,
Right.
too
Right.
much regulation.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. TL1524 for $5 says, excuse me, agreed, but lately Destiny has been unhinged post immunity case. And then any conversation that comes up, Pisco, con then any, wait, and then any convo that comes up in comes Pisco to get his unhinged rant in.
Oh,
There you go.
really? Look, I
Yeah.
tweeted out in jest that I blocked Pisco and I anticipate him on Destiny's stream crying about it later. I like I did not know that Pisco was on Destiny's stream. So,
Yeah, but I don't think he's talking about that's he's just whenever the immunity stuff comes up because
oh, okay, okay.
he's
He's just
very
talking about the
right.
context of the
Yeah, him
immunity
because
case.
right, because him and Destiny are very big on the whole the immunity case is the worst possible interpretation of it, which is why I want to have the like lawyers debate it because I don't know where it is. So
This gives Donald Trump the power to assassinate people indiscriminately.
I mean that's their position.
I did like Mr. Ubercross's response to you. So,
Well, this is my seems like basically, and this is my understanding of what Mr. Bookcross was saying. And my takeaway from that conversation is that like, yeah, you can read the opinion could theoretically say that the president could do such an action, but if the president were to do such an action, the Supreme Court would say no. That
right.
falls outside the bounds of whatever.
Yeah, other laws would step in and take over.
That's my understanding of what Mr. Bookcross was saying.
Yeah,
But
which was kind of the argument I was making, but not as articulately as Mr. Ubercross. And
right.
obviously, he's an
Well,
attorney.
but
So,
what I disagree with Mr. Bookcross is that I still think they I think the ruling was horribly written because of how vague and broad and general it made it all seem, even if that was not what they meant, it seems like you shouldn't write an opinion that makes it seem like that's the law,
right.
even if it's not. So
And I disagree with Mr. Ubercross on economics. So,
there you go.
but it's all
There you go.
fun.
Because a lot of being in the Supreme Court, it is about establishing law, but it's also about, you are sort of affecting you want to turn the temperature down in the country when you're the Supreme Court, when you're the president, when you're in the House or Senate. And this basically just set the fire up even higher
Yeah.
because of some of this like incompetently, buffoonishly written, vague opinion. So, though maybe it was written like that because some of the other justices are insane enough to be in favor of the president, SEAL Team 6 assassinating people, and I don't know, he's just trying to like write the opinion to get as many people to sign on to it or something. I don't know. But Ryan, I will thank you so much for $20. Says leftists talk about fascism being a threat if Trump gets in office because he has immunity based on recent rulings. The president has immunity. Why wouldn't Biden be doing everything to stop Trump from getting power? Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting question, too. So, the Justice 35 for $10 says the problem is Pisco asking for Adam's reasoning and Adam soyed out. Wow, Justice 35. And started shadowboxing DGG, literally posted those clips of Adam's own words to resolve the discrepancy in his position. I mean, I've that's not, I looked at the conversation, Justice. I think you're being incredibly unfair. That's not at all what happened.
Well,
Like,
and
I
I
want you,
did articulate my position with people that I thought were
right,
more good faith, like not so erudite. And that other Hutch Twitch streamer guy seemed like
right,
he was coming at it in good faith. So I did articulate my position. And I even responded to that super chat and gave a link to my position
right.
in the thing. So,
I
but
want
look,
you
my
to,
position, I just want to make it clear.
okay, yeah,
My position is going to be twisted in bad faith by Pisco, whatever it is. Like Pisco is incapable of articulating my position. So what
right.
is the point? What is the point?
Well,
Right?
also, there's a something that's even more important than that. Well, I guess is as important as that too, which is that, and I think this is what you have to take in mind, Justice 35, is that imagine that you're just like you give some take, right? And your friend disagrees with it, and he comes up and he's like, "Oh, you said XYZ. Well, I don't agree with you. Why do you think that?" And then you just have a conversation about it, right? That's one version of events. It's like a normal interaction, right? You could have that, or you could have you say something and your friend says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. What you just said is fucking crazy. Hold on 1 second." And they pull out a stool, they step on top of it, and they pull out a megaphone. They say, "I want everyone to come here for a second. Everyone has come here." And then like a crowd of like 1,000 people surround you and your friend says, "This man, this Justice 35 guy, he just said the dumbest, most craziest, fucking insane shit ever. What a fucking retard. Oh my God." Then he puts the megaphone away, gets off the stool, walks up to you. Well, now that he has a crowd of people chomping at the bit to shit on you, and he
Yeah.
says, "Why the fuck do you believe that? Are you retarded?"
Yeah,
Which is
totally.
essentially what Pisco does he does in every interaction that he has with anyone on Twitter. And he refuses to not do that. And he just because he retweets everything that he does, and he, gets it posted on Destiny subreddit. And he does this with everyone, and he refuses to stop doing it because he's so clout hungry and has the emotional control of a 2-year old. So
Well, I retweeted my interaction with Not So Erudite just because I wanted people to see that I was
right, because
responding,
like this is how
obviously.
you should interact with. I don't not so erudite doesn't do that. How doesn't do that to my
No, not
knowledge.
at all.
Most
Not at
people
all.
don't. Most people don't do that on Twitter, but Pisco does with everyone he interacts with, and he refuses to not do it because he, as I said, has the emotional control of a 2-year old.
Look, and
So
my position is literally being articulated in the right-wing New York Times.
right,
Like it's
exactly,
not some controversial position, okay?
right, right. So
Look, the Pisco is the one with the controversial position. The idea that we can have a potted plant as president and there's absolutely no danger at all. That's a controversial position.
right. Spencer Harmon for 26 months. Thank you so much. 26 months of discipline equals freedom says, "Miss y'all. Glad to see y'all back. Yes, I'm yelling this Sitch. This is just who I am. Take it or leave it." Thank you, Spencer. Even though it was in all in caps.
That's great. Look, he's only doing that to trigger you, but
I know. Well, it's fine. I can't yell
Spencer's
anything,
cool.
so
Yeah. Oh,
I'll just read it normally. Old school. Thank you so much for joining the Free Will Seekers.
oh yeah. Welcome. Welcome, welcome.
The Rooster for $10 says, "Sitch, unfortunately, I think you're naive. Most of the internal bureaucracy of the United States are Democrats and already compromised. It's part of the reason why Trump had issues governing." That's this is kind of the problem is that people they just vibe check, think that that's true when there's literally zero evidence that that's true whatsoever, that any of the sort of internal workings of the government are, doing some nefarious thing to help Democrats at the, in order to harm the Republican Party or conservative ideals or anything like this. And nothing I say will change anyone's mind if you believe that. And no one, people just believe this with based on literally zero evidence. So
Aren't there like FBI field offices all over the United States? It's like it's
mhm.
hard for me to imagine that the FBI field office in Iowa is staffed with Democrats. Like that's just
Right.
that doesn't make a lot of sense
Well,
to me.
this is the danger, not necessarily of Trump specifically, but the danger of the cult of a personality is that, excuse me, people, whatever the cult leader says is what everyone goes along with. So like kind of regarding, what the Rooster's talking about. Basically, what happens is Trump, he becomes president. He tries to get someone to do something. That person says, I don't like, no, I'm not going to do that because it's wrong, or I literally don't have the like legal authority to do this. And then the cult leader says, oh, they're really a bad person. They're part of the deep state, and everyone turns on them. And I mean, this is how you can tell if you fell prey to sort of that form of gaslighting on the right. I mean, Bill Barr was like the perfect example of this. This is a person very clearly anti the Democrats, hates the Democrats, thinks that they're going to usher in socialism if you ever heard him talk. He basically became the attorney general by writing a, flowery, insane, in my opinion, defense of Trump's behavior with Ukraine. And that's kind of what gets him to be the attorney general. He's this massive Trump simp. He's trying to help Trump every chance he can get. But then like it does with Trump, with everyone, there always comes the bridge too far. They ask too much. And it comes to the, wanting the attorney general's office to declare there's been all this fraud when he says we've investigated and haven't found any fraud and I can't just lie. And then Trump turns on him, and then all the people, they just listen and do whatever Trump says, and they turn on him too. Even though he's like, they don't care about any of his, reputation. They don't care about looking at the facts or the evidence of Bill Barr as a person, and the fact that, blah blah blah. No, he gets called a rhino, he gets called a secret deep state operative, blah blah blah, because no one actually cares about what the facts are. They care is that, well, Donald Trump said it, so it must be true.
We covered the January 6th hearings in Congress. And look, a lot of people hated us for doing it, but the
Yeah.
interviews with Bill Barr are hilarious because he's like,
Yes.
he just goes through, he's like, Trump had this big list of things that he wanted addressed, and Bill Barr just went through all of them and checked them out and went through the evidence why these aren't the case. And as soon as he got to the bottom of the list, Trump would go right back to the top of the list again.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
the best quote is when he said, I just, I realized this guy was kind of unmoored from reality. Like, I'll never
Yes.
forget that line because,
Yeah. No, it's a good line. But I
yeah,
mean, if you want to sit and laugh at the Democrats who basically want to weaken a Bernie Biden and all that stuff, it's interesting because it's like, and that's fine. You should laugh at that because it is ridiculous. But you also have to, if you want to be honest, if you want to actually, have a good understanding of reality, objective understanding of reality, you have to also understand that Trump definitely has a cult of personality that has basically gaslit huge swaths of the country to just listen to whatever he says, even if it's completely nonsensical. So, and Bill Barr to me will forever be just the perfect example of that.
I don't, I don't know that Bill Barr is gaslit though.
No, no,
I
no,
mean,
that people now saying Bill Barr is a
oh,
rhino
okay,
or a
I got
secret
you.
deep
I got you.
stater or
Yeah,
something,
no,
it's
yeah,
like,
of course. Bill Barr, Trump turned the public on Bill Barr. Yes, that
right, just
definitely
because he
happened.
wouldn't do one thing that Trump wanted him to do.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Thal for $20. Thank you so much. Thal says Sitch lives, S class is best class. Thank you.
Look at that. Thank you, Thal.
Cecil S. Graham for 8 months says, never have I ever been more disappointed in Sitch than today. Adam, how is the wisdom of crowd going in California? I don't even know what that's in reference to, but sorry to hear that.
Look, the numbers, obviously California tips Democrat, but it's not, a lot of people don't, we have a lot of Republicans in California. So,
Hmm.
but I think a lot of the Republican vote in California is suppressed because Republicans have this idea that they could never win. I think if we did have a split of the electoral delegates, I think the Republican vote in California would go up massively.
Mm.
Like if California delegated its electoral votes proportionally to the vote, I think it would stop the suppression of Republican vote in California.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt for $10 says, "Glad you're feeling better, Sitch. I didn't realize people's shadow could contract monkeypox. How dare you? Maybe
Oh,
take it easier
wow.
next June." Just
Wow.
busting your balls. As class is best class. Thank you, Matt.
Did you have fun for Pride Month? Is that what he's
That's
insinuating?
exactly what happened. Yeah. No, it's so obnoxious too, because I literally know who the fucker was that got me sick. Because I was at a location, and this guy like sat behind me and started coughing, and
No way.
I was like, I should move, and then I didn't because I'm a fucking like
It'll be
lazy idiot. I was
fine.
like, I'm sure it's fine, right? That it just obviously. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So apparently, like, there's been some like massive surge of COVID in Florida. I don't know if it's just Florida, the rest of the country, but
Stay away.
this is like it's funny because this is before this. I had only got like the like even more milder forms of it before this. So I
Hmm.
guess it's like my first like quote real one, but it's been still pretty mild compared to like what you went through and what most other people went
Yeah.
through. So
Oof.
yeah. The Truffle Shuffle, thank you so much for joining the Free Will Seekers. Stellar for $5 says the polls are shut. They are made by those who are dead. And the dead keep them until the time comes. The polls are shut. Like you stuck.
What does that mean? Why are you laughing
It's
so?
that was it's a Lord of the Rings reference.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. It was very funny. Metal Face Rose for $2 says, "I'm voting for the worm in RFK Jr.'s brain." There you go.
That's cool.
Stock for $5 says, "Sitch is making a video. Oh no, Sitch, I think your COVID is even worse than you thought." There you go.
Yeah. I was surprised.
There you go.
Look, if it's for this channel, he doesn't have to. It's like anything. His main channel is like a sacred place.
There you go.
So everything must be perfect. On this channel, he's like, I can just bust this out in an afternoon.
Chad for 4 months says, "You must hold either Donald Trump or Joe Biden's wing wang in your mouth for 10 seconds or your whole family gets deleted. Which one would you choose?"
Oh my, neither.
You have to
Jeez.
choose, Adam.
So long, family.
Wow,
I'm going it alone.
you would let your family die just because
Don't
you
tell
wouldn't.
don't tell my wife,
Okay,
okay?
look at that. There you go.
I'm gonna put nobody's wing wang in my mouth. Jeez, Sitch.
Maj for $5 says, "Hey Sitch, when are you taking that camera and becoming a gaming VTuber? Make Adam play video games as your life partner." Hi, Adam.
Hey, what's up?
I do want Adam when he has a chance. I do want him to play Slay the Princess. The game's very
We're getting
interesting.
close. Look,
Yeah.
I'm almost done with the comic situation, so
Right.
yeah. I'll have much more time. I've
Uh,
had some
that.
other family matters come up, so I've kind of been burning the
Mhm.
candle at both ends and in the middle. So
Right.
yeah.
Batman's Pet Goldfish for $2 says, "Quantum consciousness allows for free will." Interesting.
Ooh,
There you
yeah.
go. Adam Gadboff for 23 months. Thank you so much. Says China has been planning to invade Taiwan before 2028 for a long time. Does anyone think the black box will deter Beijing for even a second?
No, and that's
No,
one of
not
the
really.
big problems with it. Yeah.
Not really. Yeah.
Why do you think? Yeah, look, I think it would be very possible for Hunter Biden to have a very special relationship with China.
Libertarian Sasquatch for $2 says, "Weird how the chat turned into Destiny orbiters." Did it? I've not been looking at the chat. But...
Really? Oh, look, it's that Hutch guy. Is that him?
Hey, Hutch, what's up?
Is that the
Uh,
guy? I don't know if you're the guy who was on Twitter that I was responding to, but I think it was Hutch. So
maybe. If you ever want to chat with someone enthusiastically on the weekend of burning sides of things,
well, at least he's got a
sure.
good sense of humor about it.
There you go. Good for you, Hutch. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Maybe we'll do it later this week.
Oh, hey, Dev. Dev's in the chat too.
Dev has been in the chat forever,
I
but
haven't been looking at the
Dev is
chat.
not a Destiny orbiter, so
That is true.
not that I know of. I don't know that Hutch is a Destiny orbiter either. So
No.
Pisco is definitely a Destiny orbiter.
Yes. Hutch is
Yeah.
his own man. Dev
See,
is a.
Pisco puts Destiny's wing wang in his mouth like all day long.
That is
So,
true. That is true. I was gonna say Dev is a Sitch and Atom orbiter, so
but let's be nice. Come on. That's not nice. He's a friend of the show.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have
Um,
orbiters around here.
95 keep for $5 says I can't even toss a coin for the pin question. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one, and that's why I'm like, look, what is that show where they're like, I'd like to poll the audience. Doesn't the audience mostly get it right on that show? When does the audience
Who wants
completely?
to be a millionaire?
Yeah, there's a reason why they have the I want to poll the audience question.
Yeah, but usually general knowledge questions, I mean, it's very different than like a political question.
Look, this is why I made the poll.
Okay.
Look, our audience is decidedly Biden is the bigger threat. But look,
Right, right.
I think a lot of you guys are biased because you want Trump anyway. You're like, oh my
Yes.
God, this
Well,
Biden
obviously they don't
situation is manna from heaven.
obviously if you're a Trump supporter, you don't think Trump is dangerous for the country.
Yeah,
So,
I get it. I
unless
totally
you're
get it.
Sammy G and you're just voting for chaos.
Is that what is she voting for that?
So
So
she
she
said.
switched over to Biden now?
Yeah, Sammy, that's a good question. Sammy, should you vote for Biden now because you just want chaos? It's a great
Yeah.
question, Adam. Yeah. Uh,
Sammy's family would disown her. It's so obvious.
Casey Anderson for $10 says, I never classified Tucker as a moron until I heard his Nixon claims on Joe Rogan. He was completely inaccurate on everything. His claims about how the story came out were so far from provable reality too. Yeah, no, it's weird because like not only was he just saying crazy like conspiracy shit that is stupid, but he was saying a bunch of fact claims that are just like wildly untrue. So like he was mixing up so much of the information. And he's repeated this like several places. Like it's a core part of his worldview. It's ridiculous that like
Did
Nixon was some beloved president who was a good guy that did nothing wrong. And then, the evil deep state framed him.
didn't he come out against evolution recently?
Tucker, yeah, he
I
did.
think Tucker did.
He
Yeah.
did, yeah, he did. So,
Weirdo. A weirdo.
Mr. Borelli for $20. Thanks so much. Says Sitch, your
Your
TDS is showing Trump is the God King. He alone has the strength to save America and lead us to glory. He deserves our absolute loyalty and devotion. He's our leader, champion, and hero. In Trump we trust. There you go. Thank you.
I'm gonna give that a heart just to trigger Pisco, just
Thank
so you
you.
guys know.
Ariat half minute for $5 says Sitch. I tweeted progress pic to y'all on the manga shelf I'm building. Almost ready to paint them and put together. Also had them. Also, hi Adam. S class is.
Hello, and
S
look,
class.
that's awesome. Send me the shelf pic.
Thank you.
Send it to me. We'll bring it up on stream sometime.
Hey Sitch, look,
I gotta take
progress.
off soon. So
Oh, okay, yeah, you gotta go. So we'll look at that later. Metalface Rose for $2 says, "Have you looked into Chase Oliver at all?" I have
no,
not. No, no.
is that a porn star?
Yes. No, it's someone who's running for president
Oh,
as a porn star. Cameraman 502 for $5 says, "I think you're conflating MAGA idea of the deep state, which is false, and the fact that most career bureaucrats are more left wing and will drag new policies." So if you want to say that like most people who do random, quote, non-political jobs at the government probably lean more left than they do right. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. That is probably true. But those people are not enacting, are not supposed to be enacting uh, political things, and for the most part, aren't. So,
yeah.
and there's a difference between saying like, well, those people lean left wing because people that have those left wing tendencies are more likely to go into those jobs versus saying, no, no, we should make it explicitly partisan political positions. So we're going to have the Democrats, when they're president, just shove all the Democrats in those very partisan Democrats in those positions of power. It's a very different framing.
I'm
And I
reading
think
Bot.
it's detrimental to
Oh,
the country overall. But
I'm reading Batya Sargon Unger's book Second Class, and she talks about how 60% of the electorate is in favor of tamping down on illegal immigration and better healthcare, moving us closer towards universal healthcare.
Mhm.
So if that's 60% of the electorate, I mean, how do you define those people? It's like the Democratic, that's like a core position for the Democratic Party and a core position for the Republican Party.
Right.
That's a tough split, right?
It is.
She makes a case that any politician that comes up and turns like appeals to that voting bloc is going to be very powerful. Makes me think Trump might do that
Hmm.
because he's already got the immigration position. He just needs to shore up on the if the Republicans will let him because they're so anti healthcare.
Lethal Strain for $5 says, if Trump wins, how quickly do you think the elections will be called illegitimate or there was interference?
5 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, it would be funny because obviously that would put the Democrats in a very, actually, I don't think that will happen because number one, well, it depends. Like if Joe Biden stays in the race, I mean, would anyone think there would have to be voter interference for him to lose that race?
It would be a tough sell.
Right. Like, yeah, it's like, you know, I don't even know if you'd be like, look at, So I actually, I don't think, especially if Joe Biden stays in, I don't think there would be some people, but I don't think there'd be that many claims of voter interference at that point. So, and also the Democrats are in a weird, like it puts them in a very uncomfortable position, obviously, to make those claims anyway. Just uh, kidding. For $5 says, maybe I'm misinformed, but I've seen clips of Bill Barr calling for people to stand down during the investigations. Have you looked into that? I don't know what clip you're specifically talking about. If you've seen it, if you know what you're talking about, like send it to
And
me.
what investigations?
Yeah, one he's talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about voting investigations, but Bill Barr invested, or he told Trump specifically that he investigated, excuse me, these claims, and then they didn't find anything, and that was it. And then Trump kept saying to do other things. The thing maybe you're thinking about where he stand down was I think Trump wanted. Maybe you're referring to when Trump wanted Bill Barr to seize a voting machine, and he said he didn't have the legal authority to do that. Maybe that's what you're referring to. So, Moondoggy for $10 says, been busy, but want to show some support crazy upcoming months. Well, thank you, Moondoggy.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be
Meg,
busy too.
Mega Mikey 75 for $10 says, did you guys see what Jon Stewart said on the Daily Show the other day? He's calling for the DNC to hold an open convention to screw over the people who voted Biden as a nominee. I did see that. There's like this really weird framing that you kind of put in here, Mega. I don't know if you're being serious or not, but where a lot of people, if Biden doesn't step down, they're saying that they want the DNC to hold an open convention, which I don't even know. I don't know the legality. I don't know if that's even possible. But even if let's just say theoretically it is, there's been this like retort from people, which to me feels very cynical from Trump people who essentially think that Trump would have a better chance running against Biden, saying, how dare you? You would be screwing over the people that voted for Biden, blah, 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 blah. And I say that's kind of like frankly, kind of like a bullshit argument because when people cast their vote for Biden, they didn't know that he was weakened at Bernie's. They didn't know he was an infirmed, enfeebled, like old man. And if they had known that, I don't think they would have voted for him. I think we would have had a normal primary. So,
Yeah, yeah, of course. The voter turnout for the Democratic primary was just abysmal, obviously,
right.
because people thought, yeah, a lot of people didn't even vote. This was not, I mean, they should have opened it up. Like the moral thing to do would have been to say, to see this problem coming from a mile away and open up the primary.
Right.
Or for
Yeah,
just them to assess it themselves and him to step aside.
like if it turned out that Donald Trump was really, you know, a genetic clone of Hitler,
Yeah.
and he has a video of him talking about how during his second term he's going to, enact the Third Reich and bring fascism to America, and wipe out all the non-white people and blah 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 blah. I mean, I think people would be like, "Oh, we should have an open convention so that Donald Trump is the candidate, right?" Be like, "Well, the people voted for him." It's like, okay, but they didn't know that he was a literal Hitler clone at the time that they voted for him, right? So I think it's a really silly argument when I hear people say that about Biden.
That's a good point.
Lethal. Oh, I skipped some. Micro Omega, thank you so much for the 27 months. Says, behold my awesome milestone. Behold. Jack of Spades for 27 months says, Hillary Clinton in November, quote, why don't you walk to the polls and vote on that thing? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Lethal Strain for $5 says, the VA and military healthcare systems are actual proof that our government shouldn't be in charge of our entire healthcare system. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I've heard a lot of people say that. That's I think why a lot of people don't want that, but they just want the government to essentially fund it. So, Erot, Captain for $2 says sent you the tweet about the shelves, Adam. So there you go.
Cool. We'll look at it next time.
Right, yeah, because Adam's got to go in a second. But Adam Friended, thanks so much for. Oh, look, it's Adam Friended, the Adam Friended. Look at that. For
Look,
2 years.
I
You've
finally
been a
made
member
it.
for 2 years.
I
Yeah.
finally made it. I got the gold. Look at that
Got the
shit.
gold. Look at that. Gold pyramid, the only gold standard I support. Look, that's pretty good.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Gold pyramid +3, Stug. Yes.
Stug for 27 months says gold pyramid +3. There you go. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Nod. It's supposed to be Knight of the Diamond Spoon, I guess, for $25. Thank you so much. Says you are no longer allowed to get sick. You all are my design Sunday cleaning chores day podcast. I had to listen to one of the countless other podcasts I'm subscribed to. Sorry to hear that.
Isn't it great to get cleaning done while you listen to podcasts? That's the way.
That
right
is
there.
the way. That is the way.
You get a clean house, you get informed, you get
That's right.
information. It's amazing.
Clean your brain, your soul, and your physical location all at the same time.
Yeah.
Death by Sloth for $2 says it's amusing that Dems say Kamala will lose if she's top of the ticket, while tacitly admitting they vote for Biden is functionally a vote for Kamala anyways, and then they say, quote, she was voted in when she inherits the job. Yeah, it is kind of silly if that's their argument.
Let her fight for it. Put her in.
Pondering Politics for $2. There you go. I'm sure this is the real Pondering Politics.
Probably not.
Right. It says, my dear Sitch, you've made it so difficult for me. Oh, if I can't disingenuously insinuate you carry water for MAGA, then it feels like I must walk on eggshells around you. I wish you would be more reasonable. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. There you go.
So performative. Well, you got the cadence down.
I did very well. So
Pondering's actually kind of been a good sport because he super chats us from time to time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He's like a giant channel. I think he's 500,000 subscribers. So,
oh, good for him.
Yeah. I guess obviously we're audience captured, languishing at 50,000 subscribers, right?
That's what's always so funny.
We're the ones that are audience captured.
I know, with these like grift accusations. I'm like, okay. Me and Adam both know ways to grift very successfully that we don't do because we're not grifters. But
yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Well, take care. See you guys all on Sunday.
Great show. I loved it. Bye-bye.